1:54 p.m. So we went into executive session, so we have any more questions that need to be asked? We can do that. Dave Puyer.
Chair, I have a question for Mr. Long, and it's not on the range unit system. We have some resolutions that are in effect by the tribe that go back into the 70s where there's a land sales fee that needs to be collected, and my understanding, the Bureau is not collecting those fees at present. And if you go back to a 1978 resolution, that's when these started. So at this time, I'm under the impression by different ones that told me that the Bureau would owe the tribe thousands of dollars by not collecting those if they were collected. So could you see if any of that's been happening? Because sales are happening and the tribe is not getting their fee. Thank you.
Definitely, I can follow up. I know we had discussion on that matter. It was brought to my attention that the Bureau, at least what I was informed by my staff, that the Bureau is not authorized to collect that 4% fee on behalf of the tribe, and that we were trying to figure out another avenue of collecting that for the tribe. At this point, I think there wasn't, I don't know how many land sales we had, but it wasn't enough to where it was pressed for time, but I think it's definitely something we need to address immediately so the tribe doesn't lose out on that 4%.
The last question, where were we at on GA?
All these September payments for general assistance have been made for September. We are currently working on October payments, and if everything goes right, we should be fine up through December. But all September, August and September payments have been put out there.
Any more questions? He's still on his report.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have.
Go ahead.
Tina Merdanian.
Mr. Long, in the past 2 council meetings, I asked for the dam testing to move that forward and to publish those results of what the findings were. And a true dam testing, not the inlets and outlets being tested, but the actual dams. Then I asked for the budget of the dams that were supposed to be improved upon, and I still haven't seen that yet. And I also asked for a timeline on when those improvements were going to be made based upon the budget. So with that, and we've been waiting on these results for a while and in the documentation, because at this point the BIA oversees our dam safety. And knowing that many of our youth have been swimming in these dams all summer, and we're into the winter, and there's been fishing, and there's going to be ice fishing and so forth, and we need to protect our communities. So in regards to that, I want a timeline set up where all the dams will be actually tested. I want the results, and then I also want those budgets for improvements and where those are at, and then a timeline for these to be implemented. So I asked for all of those, and I'm requesting them again to get those to us ASAP. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I did follow up on the tribe's request regarding the testing of our high hazard dams. That request was, and I was informed that that's not a function of our dam safety program. So I've been working with Susie Mesteth and the tribe's EPA program, as well as some other folks, and we're trying to figure out a way on how we're going to be able to do some of these things. So I was informed that the testing is not, the function of the Bureau is strictly for the maintenance of these dams, and that's it. As far as the budget for the Safety of Dams program, $86,000 is all that's allotted for that program. So I hope that answers your question, but I am working with Susie and her staff to try to figure out a way on how we can test some of these dams. I do have a request from Mary Tobacco for the Calico Dam, and basically the Bureau is willing to come out and perform tests to determine if Calico's dam will qualify as a high hazard dam, which is one of the 4 dams on the reservation. So all I need from the tribe, whether it be from the president of the tribe or maybe council, is the request to do the review and designation of the Calico Dam, and that will aid us in the maintenance of the dam and some of the things that Mary brought concerns to my office for. And I just need a letter of request maybe from the president requesting that designation be done, or the review of that dam, and it has to do with different variables. So, go ahead.
And then I would ask that you bring it from the land committee, and then I could just reaffirm it or affirm it in XB, and then we can get it to the superintendent of BIA.
So I will definitely do that with land committee. However, I need the documentation. I need to see where it says that this is the only responsibility in regards to maintenance. I also want to see what is that bottom line number of 86,000. I want to see the criteria for that as well. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Chairman.
Collins Clifford.
Just real quick, some of these situations, subject matter should always be addressed not only to ourselves but to the people of our tribe. But also just a friendly reminder to the Bureau of Indian Affairs that underneath your Bureau of Indian Affairs government-to-government consultation policy, under number 5, subsection 6, the Bureau of number 5 is federal action shall defer to the laws and policies established by Indians to the extent permitted by law. So that meaning that you will follow tribal policy when it comes to consulting with our tribes, with our tribe in particular. And that comes right out of the Bureau of Indian Affairs. I also have the Department of Interior's consultation policy, and these are all come from the Executive Order 13175 from the President of the United States. So if you would be respectful enough, along with send note to Aberdeen, that they better review their consultation policy. And in the future, I don't want to see what's happening with this land situation. I don't want to see this come to the floor like this. And that we be given ample time respectfully to sit down with everybody, and we'll make a deal accordingly. Thank you.
Okay. All right, council, we broke for lunch, and based on the notes that were taken from our discussions, I and the attorneys with the Bureau, we put together, and we can butcher these however we see needs to be butchered if we need changes, because everybody got copies of 2 resolutions. So I need recommendations, I need concurrence, so that we can follow and pass these resolutions so that we can move on with business. And Steve Gunn.
You should have one packet that has 4 pages. And the first 2 pages, there are 2 issues. One is the grazing rental rate, which is the rental rate or price per AUM on a range unit. And this resolution changes the grazing rental rate for tribal trust land to be the same as the grazing rental rate in effect for allotted land, which is $8.71 per AUM. The second resolution deals with the stocking capacity of a range unit. The stocking capacity is the number of AUMs that can be sustained on a range unit. The stocking capacity is being evaluated as a part of the range condition survey that the tribe is performing through a 638 contract. And that survey is not complete. There are a substantial number of range units that have not been surveyed, and it doesn't appear that they will be surveyed. So this resolution doesn't appear they will be surveyed this fall. This resolution declares that no changes should be made to the stocking capacity of a range unit for 1 year to allow for the range condition survey to be complete, for the tribe to have an opportunity to consult with the BIA concerning any changes, and to allow for public input and comment from landowners, range unit permittees, and other members of the public. And it asked for the concurrence of the acting superintendent and the acting regional director in this recommendation that no change be made for 1 year. The stocking capacity is ultimately set by the regional director, and so this is asking the regional director not to change the stocking capacity for 1 year. The rental rate, the first resolution, the grazing rental rate for allotted lands is set by the director when landowners have not established their own rate. And that rate was changed on August 17, and it will go into effect November 1. The grazing rental rate for tribal trust land is set by the tribal council. And so this is a recommendation based on your preference that it be changed effective November 1 to be the same rate as for the allotted land.
We have any questions? Chancey Wilson.
You're talking about a 1 year change in the AUMs. So are we going to give the producer the 5-year contract with a modification if their AUMs change, or are we just giving them a 1 year contract?
That's the question that I asked. And I was told that this was just an extension off the existing contract. And so I said, well, I already submitted the allocation application. So what's the difference? And they said, all this is doing is extending last administration's, or the contract period. So that's the answer I got. Now, well, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
So are we wasting our allocation committee's time right now, who have been working the last 2 weeks and using tribal dollars to do their job, and now you're saying go home for a year? Is that where I'm getting at? See, we're giving in once again to the BIA and doing their wish is what started this whole mess.
What was your question, Chancey?
My question is, are we wasting the allocation committee's time over there? I mean, they've already done, before they started this morning, they did 100 range units already. And if we're only given a year extension on the current contract, to me, we're wasting the allocation committee's time right now. And so are we giving the 5-year contract, or are we just extending the current contract for a year, which is also breaching the constitution of the Oglala Sioux tribe because it's over a 5-year contract?
Can I respond to that a little bit? Do you mind?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I think you kind of have two issues that are causing some consternation, and in the process, basically, we've run out of time a little bit, and so these decisions are coming to you late in the process. So it makes it difficult to resolve the issues. You seem to have some consensus on the grazing rate, which was the allotted rate is recommended at $18.71 by the BIA, and that's in furtherance to their trust responsibility to the allottees. So you seem to have some consensus that the rate ought to be the same for tribal land. So that was one issue. And then the second issue is really how to implement these stocking rate changes, and you had a contract with folks that were out there in the field doing these things, and it took longer than was hoped for, because that contract lasted for a couple of years, if I'm correct, and it just not all the way completed in a timely manner to implement right now. So what you could do, and this is in the discretion of the superintendent and the regional director to approve this, is to tell your permittees who are coming in for the grazing units that for the next year, we're going to maintain the existing stocking rate carrying capacity, but it's subject to change. And we're going to review the report and recommendations of the BIA in collaboration with the BIA over the next year. And we're going to hear from the landowners, the allottees, and the permittees about what their views on, so that as we make government decisions, we're hearing from the tribal public, you know, about the impact of those. So then the question about kicking over the contracts for one more year is not necessarily related to maintaining that existing carrying capacity for 1 year, because you could still go through your allocation process, but your people that, you know, get the permits are on notice that based on this process over the period of a year, that their carrying capacity may change. Naturally, if their carrying capacity changes, then, you know, their overall price of the unit, you know, is going to change accordingly, right? So you don't necessarily.
The question that he's asking is not about what you just explained to everybody. What he's after is the allocation process right now is not advantageous to the permittee, is what he's getting at. Is because, you know, we're supposed to be in these 5-year processes. And are these that are getting approved now going to fall into this next 5-year process? Or are we going to waste more money and time and energy for next year to be back in the same spot that we are right now?
Mike, you don't necessarily have to make the decision to add another year to the prior period as part of this decision right here.
But we kind of do, because the allocation, everybody's contracts are up October 31st.
Right.
So at the end of October 31st, there isn't a producer on this reservation that will have a lease. So is the resolution giving them an extension on the current contract, or is it giving them a new contract?
No, you know, there was some discussion by, you know, some of the BIA folks about whether a 1-year extension would be appropriate, but that's not in the resolution. So what the resolution really contemplates is you're going forward with your process, but you're putting your people on notice that this range study is going forward, so they know that from time to time these leases may be changed if, you know, the range is not capable of maintaining the same carrying capacity. So you could, if it's up to the council, you could go forward with your allocation process that you're currently in, but you just have to put your people on notice that this study is going to go forward to study your range, because you're under some obligation to protect the land and make sure that it's not overgrazed. And so that may change for the 2nd year, but things were going to be maintained for 1 year. So that's the way I understood it. So I was just trying to clarify
in layman's terms, we're given a 5-year contract, but telling the producers their contract could change within that 5 years.
That's right. And when you draft a contract, when you draft that, if that's what the council decides, when you draft a contract, if you put the people on notice up front that this is an issue, and rather than make these changes right now, because there's been some objection because there hasn't been a full process and a full vetting with your permittees and your landowners, we're going to have that process, but it may result in a change. If it results in a change, here's the effect. If you lose AUMs, then your rental rate for the overall unit goes down accordingly. Is that right? Yeah. So that's more or less what the proposal is. If you want to take on a third proposal about kicking things over a year, that's another can of worms. So, anyway, I just want to clarify.
Tina
that.
Merdanian. No.
I believe, based upon our discussion and what's going on, is that the BIA has put before us decisions and changes that they've made and haven't left us a lot of time to try to sort this out and move it forward. And with that being said, as council, we followed our rules and regulations. We should not have to change our regulations and violate our own codes, our own grazing code, based upon BIA's changes. So with that being said, I'd like to see a resolution that we continue to follow our own Chapter 35, put those allocations out for 5 years. Within that process of 5 years, this is where BIA can go out to the people, the landowners and so forth, and they have a deadline of 1 year to make that happen. And then bring it back to council and to make that decision whether we approve, and if we even agree to the criteria of taking acres out of units. And if that's the case, you know, there's a lot more discussion regarding that. But given the current time frame, given the current need with the leaser and the leasee, I say we move forward and follow our Chapter 35.
Lydia Bearkiller.
I guess with all the discussions and our decision in executive, okay, I agree with both of these resolutions. As for the second resolution, it does not change anything. I agree with moving with a 5-year contract, but the resolution only says that within that year, the survey is still gonna happen. And the leasees and if it's a leaser, they understand that there might be a change, either up or down, depending on that survey. But at least they're both notified with this resolution, but the 5-year contracts still go out.
Chancey Wilson.
I guess I want to hear it from BIA's mouth that we might come to consensus, but sometimes BIA has little harder ears to listen to. So I just want to see if that's the consensus coming from the BIA as well.
John Long?
Yes, that's correct. Talking with Mike and Beans back here, the Bureau's position, all we're going to do is issue new permits and extend the grazing period. That's all we're doing. So, one, as far as I understand it. Isn't that what we discussed?
No, that's not what we discussed. No, it wasn't what we discussed.
I'm getting massively confused because we had a conversation in here, but we went into the president's office and said something different.
No, that's not
So
what we discussed.
whatever they put in the resolution is what we're willing to support.
And that's why I said, however we need to, council needs to make that decision of how we want to proceed further. So if everybody read that resolution, what's wrong? Collins, Clifford.
Mr. Chair and Mr. Long, Mike, when we're talking about these grazing units and we're talking about policies that are to be changed, my understanding and learning is that what affects us will also affect our sister brother tribes in the same fashion. And they're dealt with within the same hand. So we need to know that we are dealing with this separately as a tribe in dealing with them on this particular subject matter.
I will tell you this, our tribe is being dealt very, very differently than
Right.
all of these other agencies and other tribes. I know that for a fact. You know, what they tell us and tell us it's clean across the board hasn't happened. I had a little cussing session in the back in my office earlier about this with the BIA about, you know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, but it's not the case. And that's why we need to have clarification. We need to have some continuity about how we're going to, what we need to put in these resolutions. And then we make them, we make them enforce that law. Or our ordinances, our resolutions. We make them push that to that point.
According to the federal policy that they do have and that they are to act upon, also comes to the fact that if there are 2 or more agencies, and in fact, that's what I'm just pointing out, Mr. Chairman, is that we want to go on record that this is being worked with individually by the Oglala Sioux tribe because of what you had mentioned, because we know that's happening. If you go run down to sister tribe down there in Rosebud, it's a whole different story, and they stayed the same. Same thing with Cheyenne River. It don't take but a few phone calls to call a few friends, you know, but I'm just really, I just don't like the way that they go about it, but I want to go on record stating that they will be following the Oglala Sioux tribe's consultation policy because the law requires them to follow the Oglala Sioux tribe's policy on consultation.
Thank you. 5, are we ready? So we have visited with our resolutions. Jim Meeks and then Dave Weir.
So is that 5 years put in there now? I mean, I didn't see that, the 5-year contract.
Do you want it put in there?
It
We
should
need
be.
to add it in there. That's
Yep.
what I'm asking. That's
Yep.
what I'm asking. I want you to make that motion to put it in there.
I'll make that motion to put the 5-year contract in there. Ordinance.
Okay, so the discussion is now, what does that mean? We have to define it. Are we going to add this process, this 1-year extension into that, to the new coming 5-year process? That's what we need to define in there. So I need the attorneys to understand how it needs to be worded in there, verbiaged, so that we can move this forward. Okay, go ahead, say something. Did you want to say something?
This resolution does not affect the current leases or the grazing permits that will be negotiated next year. This year. For the next 5 years, okay? We all know that the condition survey may show that AUMs for some range units will change. They may go up or they may go down. If they go up, then a permittee will be able to have more animals on the range unit. If they go down, it'll be the reverse. But the contracts that are negotiated this year should reflect that fact, that a range survey is being done and that a change to the AUMs under the range unit may have to happen. The only other way to do it, if the suggestion is that the AUMs as they are now should stay the way they are now for 5 more years, then you're really asking for a 5-year extension of time, and I don't think that'll be granted. I think you're gonna do 1 year with public comment with the acknowledgement that AUMs may change, and that should be dealt with in the contracts.
I have Craig Dillon, and then I have Richard Greenwald. And then, I forgot Dave Poirier.
Okay, I just wanted to say we could keep this a little bit simple, that you guys had 2 issues really. And the one issue was, what do you want to do with your grazing rate on tribal land? And you said you're going to equalize that. Yeah.
Talk about one issue at a time.
Okay. All right. So that's that issue that's there. Now the other issue is the stocking rate. And what we talked about was the stocking rate issue, the carrying capacity issue is coming up to you at a late date. You can go ahead with your process under the current ordinance, under your current law, do your allocations. But I think Lydia explained it pretty good. Your people that come in and get the permits are gonna know that you're doing this review of carrying capacity. You're gonna try and complete it in 1 year, and there may be an amendment to their lease based on the carrying capacity. And the reason that you can do that is because you write it in up front. And if you read the permits already acknowledge that there can be some changes to, accommodate, the range conditions, et cetera. So the point is not to derail your whole allocation process. Stay on track with your allocation process. You want to study, this whole unit, animal unit issue, and have a process so that people can come in and comment on any changes to their situation. And at the end of a year, then you come in and do that. And the reason for doing it at the end of a year is because we talk to your local BIA folks, and they say, really, to protect the range, after a year, you ought to come to a conclusion if something has been overgrazed because you don't want to damage the land long term.
Okay, Craig Dillon.
We're all acting like this is something new. This has been going on for years. These range units, and we have dry years, we have good years. The stocking rate to me should only apply to allotted land. It has nothing to do with tribal land. We are the owners and the sayers of tribal land. And yet we're let them grouping it all together again. This survey to me was to see how productive these range units were. And that was it. And now it's, like I said before, an executive session. It went from there to a whole new ball game. So if we're going to do anything today, it's for a 5-year contract with limited verbiage. It may go up or down if we approve it. The key to this is if we approve it. We haven't decided if we're going to approve this or not. Nobody's brought it to us and said, here's the deal. Because I'm tired of being force-fed by the goddamn BIA. They're supposed to work with us and they don't do it. This is last-minute bullshit again. And that's frustrating as hell, because we have producers out there don't know how much money they're going to have to get from the bank to pay a lease. So it is frustrating. I've got phone calls over this. And so let's take it one step at a time. It's a 5-year lease that can be amended if we accept it. That's all it should be. Short and simple, and let's move on.
Richard, is that what you wanted to say? Pretty much. Good. Okay, I have Steve Gunn.
Here's some proposed language. Okay. I'm going to read the be it resolved clauses. Okay. Yes. Okay, therefore be it resolved that the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council hereby declares that no adjustments to the stocking capacity of any range unit on the reservation should be made for 1 year from the date of this resolution, to allow for the completion of the ongoing range condition survey and all reports based on that survey, and to allow for collaborative consultation between the tribe and the Bureau of Indian Affairs that allows for input from the public, landowners, and range unit permittees. I guess we could say grazing permittees on the proposed stocking capacity changes. And this is new, be it further resolved that any person who has issued a grazing permit within the next year shall be notified that the stocking capacity of the range unit may be changed during the term of the permit based on the results of the range condition survey, government to government consultations, and public comment, and the grazing permit shall be subject to such change.
Use your microphone.
We got to put it in there that we got to approve the survey before it gets implemented anyplace, because we're putting the cart before the horse again. We haven't accepted the survey.
Dave Poyer.
I think there should be. Use your mic. Microphone.
What?
Mr. Mike, use your mic. And that the Bureau will follow ordinance 1110, which is the government to government deal, consultation.
Consultation ordinance. 1110. Ella John Carlo.
Thank you, Chair. I think you're forgetting to put the 5 years in there, though, Steve. I didn't hear you mention that. And that's what they want.
Okay, the current allocation process shall go forward. And 5-year grazing permits shall be issued in accordance with the grazing ordinance. Provided that
You're okay. You don't have to do the provided, do that as a separate,
okay.
be it for resolved,
Okay.
and then your next resolved.
Is that good?
Dave.
I'm gonna read the whole thing.
He's gonna read the whole thing. So that we could all understand it, okay? Proceed, Steve.
Resolution of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council declaring that no changes shall be made to the stocking capacity of range units on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation for 1 year to allow for the completion of the ongoing range condition survey, consultation between the Oglala Sioux Tribe and the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and public input and comment. Whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe, organized in accordance with Section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934 on December 14, 1935, by adopting a constitution and bylaws approved by the Secretary of the Interior. And under Article 3 of the Tribal Constitution, the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council is the governing body of the tribe. And whereas the Tribal Council has the power to manage the economic affairs of the tribe and to regulate the conduct of trade and the use and disposition of property on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, pursuant to Article 4, Sections 1F and 1M of the Tribal Constitution. And whereas the Tribal Council has power over the use, disposition, sale, lease, and encumbrance of tribal lands pursuant to Article 4, Section 1C and Article 10 of the Tribal Constitution. And whereas there are approximately 351 range units on the reservation, and whereas these range units consist of a mixture of trust land allotted to individual members of the tribe and tribal trust land, and whereas a range condition survey of all range units on the reservation is being performed by the tribe through a self-determination contract with the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and whereas the purpose of the range condition survey is to determine the stocking capacity in animal unit months, AUMs, of each range unit. And whereas the range condition survey has been performed on 273 of the approximately 351 range units on the reservation, and reports are being prepared for those range units. And whereas based on reports of the range condition surveys from 92 range units, the aggregate stocking capacity of those 92 range units may increase from 100,084 AUMs to 109,170 AUMs. And whereas the director of the Great Plains Regional Office of the Bureau of Indian Affairs will establish the capacity in AUMs for range units on the reservation based on the range condition surveys and the recommendation of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council. And the superintendent of the Pine Ridge Agency. And whereas the regional director has not yet changed the stocking capacity of any range units on the reservation based on the range condition survey. And whereas additional time is required to complete the range condition survey and to complete reports for all range units on the reservation and to evaluate the estimated stocking capacity of each range unit on the reservation. And whereas the Tribal Council recommends that no adjustments to the stocking capacity of any range unit on the reservation be made for 1 year from the date of this resolution to allow the range condition survey and all reports on that survey to be completed and to allow for collaborative consultation between the tribe and the Bureau of Indian Affairs that allows for input from the public, landowners, and range unit permittees on the proposed stocking capacity changes. Now, therefore be it resolved that the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council hereby declares that no adjustments to the stocking capacity of any range unit on the reservation shall be made for 1 year from the date of this resolution to allow for the completion of the ongoing range condition survey and to allow for government-to-government consultation between the tribe and the Bureau of Indian Affairs and input from the public, landowners, and grazing permittees on the proposed stocking capacity changes. And be it further resolved that the current allocation process shall go forward and 5-year grazing permit shall be issued in accordance with the grazing ordinance of the Oglala Sioux tribe. And be it further resolved that any person who has issued a grazing permit within the next year shall be notified that the stocking capacity of the range unit may change during the term of the permit based on the results of the range condition survey, government-to-government consultations, and public comment, and the grazing permit shall be subject to such change if the tribe approves the survey and any recommended changes. And be it further resolved that the Tribal Council hereby requests the concurrence of the acting superintendent of the Pine Ridge Agency and the acting director of the Great Plains Regional Office of the Bureau of Indian Affairs with this resolution.
Motion.
Motion by Lydia Bearkiller, seconded by Richard Greenwald. Call for the vote, please.
Blaine Little Thunder.
Oh.
Jim Meeks. Stanley Little White Man. Austin Watkins. Chancey Wilson.
Yes.
Stephanie Leisure.
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian. No. Lydia Bearkiller.
Yes.
James Cross.
Yes.
Ella Giancarlo.
No.
Richard Greenwald.
Yes.
Robin Tapio.
Huh.
Philip Goodcrow. David Puyer. Sonia Little Hawk Weston. Jackie Sears. Colin C.J. Clifford.
Here.
Lisa Jumpin' Eagle Dallion. Craig Dillon.
I guess.
Motion is carried, 16 yes, 3 no, 0 abstain, and 0 not voting. Okay, the next one, we have the next resolution on the rates. Would you please read the resolution, Steve?
Resolution of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council to change the grazing rental rate for tribal land on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. Whereas the Oglala Sioux tribe, organized in accordance with Section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934 on December 14, 1935, by adopting a constitution and bylaws approved by the Secretary of the Interior, and under Article 3 of the Tribal Constitution, the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council is the governing body of the tribe. And whereas the Tribal Council has the power to manage the economic affairs of the tribe and to regulate the conduct of trade and the use and disposition of property on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation pursuant to Article 4, Sections 1F and 1M of the Tribal Constitution, and whereas the Tribal Council has power over the use, disposition, sale, lease, and encumbrance of tribal lands pursuant to Article 4, Section 1C and Article 10 of the Tribal Constitution, And whereas there are approximately 351 range units on the reservation, and whereas the range units consist of a mixture of trust land allotted to individual members of the tribe and tribal trust land, and whereas the grazing rental rate for allotted land is set by the Bureau of Indian Affairs where landowners have not established their own grazing rental rate, and whereas the grazing rental rate for tribal trust land is set by the tribal council, and whereas on August 17, 2017, the acting regional director of the Great Plains Regional Office of the Bureau of Indian Affairs changed the grazing rental rate on allotted lands on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation to $18.71 per animal unit month AUM, effective November 1, 2017, and whereas the current grazing rental rate for tribal trust land is $14 per AUM, and whereas the tribal council wishes to raise the grazing rental rate for tribal land on the reservation to $18.71 per AUM, effective November 1, 2017, to establish parity with the grazing rental rate for allotted lands and to treat all range unit permittees fairly and equally. Now, therefore be it resolved that the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council hereby changes the grazing rental rate for tribal trust land on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation to $18.71 per animal unit month AUM, and be it further resolved that this grazing rental rate shall be effective November 1, 2017.
Motion by Richard Greenwald. Question, Collins Clifford and Chancey Wilson.
Okay,
Second in over.
John, my question goes back to the the 8th whereas on the first page, on the acting director's actual line of authority, what I would like to see the letter that was given to her and her line of authority that allowed her to go ahead and make that change as an acting director.
Okay.
Chancey Wilson.
My question is, are we going to give any proper notice to the permittees and applicants that were raising it, all this money? They've already put in for their applications already, and here we are changing the rate after they've put in their applications.
Let's let John respond to that.
The allocation committee is still meeting on the applications that are received, so nobody's been approved yet, so there's still time for us to notify those folks.
My question to you is, would you like to add that into this resolution? Just to make sure that they are notified, that everything is put to the process?
Yeah, I think it needs to be put in there. I'm against it anyway, but you can put it in there.
But Stephanie Leisure.
My question is, according to 25 Code of Federal Regulations, CFR Section 166.401, isn't the Bureau obligated to let these people know that their changes are forthcoming?
Yes, we are. There's a review period that's gone out, and that's kind of what we did when we initiated the rate change of the proposal. And I guess we need to make that determination between, while Mike's here, if that same issue applies here, if we're going to make that change. Because it's the tribe making the change in essence. It's not necessarily the Bureau making that change, because we've already given the tribe an opportunity when that letter came out in June, the one I handed you folks. So I guess we need to make that determination if that is going to be understood as our notifying the tribe, the June letter, because the August letter supported her June letter saying that we're going with this new grazing rate. So I'll follow up on that. I don't know if that's going to affect it, because our rate hasn't changed from the 1871, but the tribe is upping their rate. So, and that's on your land.
And that's why this is here right now.
So based on what you had just said, your letters that went out already should have notified the land lease or whoever is leasing the land, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now you're saying you guys haven't raised anything, but the tribe wants to raise something.
Yeah, excuse me, our rate is the 1871 that was approved by the regional director.
Okay.
You want something? So. When the regional director approved the rate in August, one of the requirements is that we do have to let the public know. So that was a public posting on that rate change. So it was taken all of the cap offices to the post offices. So I'm assuming we're going to do the same thing on this, and that's what Lionel just briefed me on. So we will notify the public.
Jim Meeks.
Yeah, I think there should be 2 different resolutions. Yeah, I think you should have one for the allotted ground, one for the tribal ground.
There was a consensus that was raised.
But I think some people changed their vote.
Hold on, I've got a list of who raised their hand next. Now I have Dave Puyer, and then Chancey, and then Lydia.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Meeks is right, but it should go down to 1 because a determination has already been made on allotted ground. All this resolution would be doing is establishing a rate for tribal property. But also what should be put in here is that the Bureau follow their process through the CFR. Don't throw the ball back at us as been doing all this past year. It's time that they take the responsibility, that they follow the process of putting this advertisement out there. That we established a rate, and that's the rate that will be followed. The rate is only for tribal ground, not allotted ground. Because that rate has already been established by them according to their June and August letters or whatever. So allotted ground doesn't have to be mentioned in this.
So is that what you want to state in the resolution?
All we're saying is that tribal grass has got the same potency as allotted grass. Grass is grass. Some get you higher than others.
Okay. So Dave, come up here again. You're still on the floor. State how you want to put this in that. Use your microphone.
Just so that we're talking tribal ground only, not allotted. The allotted ground the allotted tracts have already been established by the Bureau. We're not establishing those. Yeah.
Chancey Wilson.
It's a kind of a sad day. First of all, the Bureau brought a whole lot of problems to this governing body and put producers, landowners, everybody in a bad situation right here at the end of the ball of wax. But it's also kind of disappointing that we're going to hurt the allotted rate already went up, and maybe you do this in smaller increments. We're going to hit our tribal producers pretty hard. And I guess if this tribal council wants to put our Indian ranchers out of business and have a bunch of white guys from Nebraska start leasing our lands, well, then let's go for it, I guess, because that's what it sounds like we're doing.
I have Lydia and then Tina.
Okay, I guess we had long discussions on this, and I thought we were all on the same agreement when we came out, and the resolution was to be read. And, I kind of agree with what Chauncey is saying on one hand. However, when we had a break, we pulled up the farm subsidy lease documents. And as of today, I'm still going to stand by equal lease to allottees that we have no jurisdiction or authority over. However, I think our tribal land needs to generate the same revenue as the allotted land. So, you know, today I'm gonna say that I know that it might affect some of us sitting in a circle, some of our people, some of everything affects us. However, you know, the tribe at this point, if that fair market value can produce this, we need to move with it. And I'm still gonna stick with the 1871 that we agreed on, and I think if we read the resolution, it spells it out. And I think we need to just move the resolution. Thank you.
Tina Mardanian.
Thank you, Lydia. I think in that, I recall half of us were split on this issue regarding the resolution. The reality is what we're trying to point out is we're making haste decisions based upon being pushed into compromise in this process. We did not necessarily agree to that rate increase for allotted land because there was no true consultation process as to our consultation ordinance. Therefore, this decision was made on the BIA's behalf, not necessarily tribal council. However, the issues got muddled. We never did talk about rate. The whole issue was range unit capacities and the fact that they were limiting our authority in saying what is our range unit capacities, because based upon that survey and the information they gave us, they were going to take away acres from range units in which our people would be losing least income. This was the discussion. This was the concern. So in regards to that, we need to keep it straight and separated. The fact is we do have say in regards to this consultation, in which we did not have. We've been rushed into making decisions in the past when it came to Chapter 35 in our grazing ordinance. What we passed as our government law was not abided by the BIA. We requested several times for our president to send letters to the BIA to release the allocation applications based upon their CFR, that we were in compliance with that time frame. However, they did not. Instead, when they did release the applications, it was a whole new application, not based upon consultation with the tribe either. Therefore, we put a stop to that new application process, implemented the old application process, added an extension of 30 days because of this lack of communication. Now we're into this survey. We're being pushed into accepting something that we had no consultation in, and we're again just accepting what is. And I'm against just accepting and settling for this. This is not true consultation, and that's why we have rules and regulations. We need to stand by those rules and regulations, and the BIA has a trust responsibility, and they need to look out for the best interest of our people. And apparently this hasn't been the best interest of our people and our government, and we're left here holding the ball in regards to trying to answer all these questions and making it look like we're creating the chaos in this whole process, in which we have not. So in regards to that, I would like to see a lawsuit against Aberdeen for denying our rules and regulations and our tribal government. They have violated our constitution. They have violated our treaty and trust obligations. And again, they have violated our consultation process. So with that, I so move.
We have a motion to start a lawsuit against the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Say that again. I did not recognize the second. We went into questions and we kept going on and on and on. I did not recognize the second, and that's why we were still going on and on and on. Okay? So that's why we have this motion right here. Collins Clifford, would you please have a chair? I know, I understand, but we have a motion and a second. Now you have a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, I think we just really beat this issue we beat it to death, but I think that it's good to have good debate in this circle to discuss when it comes to tribal land and allotted land. And I think that one of the things that I want to say is that although we sit here as tribal leaders and we said we were not consulted, I believe that we were. We were given 3 letters, and somebody should have answered those letters. So we got to take some responsibility here. We can't just blame the BIA. We have to understand that I've been on this council long enough to know that when you get a Dear Tribal Leader letter, and you're in that committee, you should be answering those letters. So you got to take some responsibility back too. Don't just blame one entity. You know, we always talk about consultation. We bring up all the regulations on consultation, but yet I have not seen it happen with our tribe. Maybe in some instances it has happened, but it hasn't happened fully. When we could take a stand as a tribe and exert our authority and do our consultation, we are not doing it. But when we sit here and talk about it, we say consultation. Where have we been? How long have we been in this position? We've been here, what, 9 months now? And these letters have been given to the Oglala Sioux tribe, and the people need to know what these letters are about. Our district's going to get it. You know, June 28th, letter was given to the Honorable Scott Weston, President, Oglala Sioux tribe. Post Office Box 2070, Pine Ridge, South Dakota, talked about exactly what we're talking about today. So they gave us a letter, and it was a second letter, and another letter. All together, we got 3 letters here. And we were told that these were going to happen. So we can't just sit here and say, oh, well, it's all your fault because we were not consulted. I'll sit here just quietly, just listening. But you know what? We were consulted. They're telling us, okay, what do you want to do? How do you want to go about this? Nobody made the effort to do it until it hit the floor today. Now we're all for about 4 or 5 hours discussing it. So you know what? That's not what we should be doing. We always work out of crisis. But I want to say one thing, and this is a fact. You know, fact is separated. You know, the BIA, yes, you do. You have trust responsibility to do fair market value for the Oglala Sioux tribe. That's what you're doing today. And we got to start looking out for our people. When we go out, we say our oyate, our people out there, our Unshika people who get very minimum range unit lease money. I've seen my mom getting those range unit monies. They're not very much. But she gets little bit checks, sometimes 2, 3 checks in December. So you got to look at that. But yet today we're hollering around getting mad about how much we have to pay in the rental rate for the tribe. We should be ashamed of ourselves. And just like Ms. Bearkiller said, we have, some of us in the circle have a reason why we're expressing our concerns. For many years I sat in the circle and I've seen that and I heard it. And it was always hard to try to deal with this issue and to move it forward. Because I'll say it right now, in this circle, we got people that have an interest in it. And we can't separate ourselves from it. We're not looking out for the people. Are we really actually looking out for our people? Or who are we looking out for? So the BIA, yes, you do have a trust responsibility to give us fair market value on our land. And you need to move forward with that. This is only tribal land. Lease revenue to increase to a legal fair market value of $18.71. You know, let's not shortchange our tribe. For many years, we've been doing that. Shortchanging our tribe. We say we don't get enough revenue, but yet we say we got a loan, we got this, we got that to pay back, but yet we want to shortchange our tribe. We need to quit doing that because you know what? We need to start looking out for our people. Our Oyate out there, our Unshika people that only get a small minimum amount on this range units. So you know what? We need to move forward on this now, President. Weston, you know, we sat on it mostly all day now, talking about it.
Yep.
We got our resolutions, we came out. I'm going to second that motion. I think
The
Mr.
second motion.
Of approving this resolution on the rental rates. You know, I think we need to move forward. I think we've sat here a long time. We got a long agenda, and this took up most of our day today.
Do you have a motion?
Yep, I think it was Stanley.
You're
that motion.
seconding,
Motion
you're
by Richard,
seconding
and I
Richard's
second-
motion.
Stanley seconded. Yeah, thank you.
okay? Stanley Little White Man.
Chair, I had a motion on the floor with a second.
I apologize, but there was a motion prior to that we went into questions, and I did not recognize the second. Don't throw your hands at me like this. Yeah, okay, I thought maybe you were getting frustrated with me. Okay, all right. Okay, I understand, and I thank you for that. Okay, I thank you. Yeah, I know. This is a very, very tight day today. People's emotions are up high. This is not an old thing. This is when they talk about money, the landowners and whomever. However, this is always a touchy issue. It always has been, always will be. And so I am going to recognize Richard's motion previously I did not recognize Lisa Jumping Eagle De Leon's second to that motion for the original approval of this. And we run the vote. Secretary, call for the vote.
On the resolution?
For the rental rates. It was originally Lisa Jumping Eagle De Leon. There we go. Call for the vote.
Blaine Little Thunder.
Yes.
Jim Meeks.
No.
Stanley Little White Man.
Yes.
Austin Watkins.
No.
Chancey Wilson.
No.
Stephanie Leisure.
No.
Valentina Merdanian.
No.
Lydia Bearkiller.
Yes.
James Cross.
Yes.
Ella Giancarlo.
No.
Richard Greenwald.
Yes.
Robin Tapio.
Huh.
Philip Goodcrow.
Help.
David Puyer. Sonia Little Hawk Weston. Jackie Sears. Colin C.J. Clifford.
Yeah.
Lisa Jumping Eagle DeLeon. Craig Dillon.
No.
Motion did carry to approve the rates. 11 yes, 8 no. Thank you, council. Now we can move on. Do you have any closing comments, Mr. John Long? Thank you. Dave Poyer.
This one. Tina's motion.
Oh, we have a motion. I forgot. We have a motion by Tina Merdanian, seconded by Stephanie Leisure, a motion to initiate a lawsuit against the BIA. Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Blaine Little Thunder.
Oh.
Jim Meeks.
Yes.
Stanley Little White Man.
No.
Austin Watkins. Chancey Wilson.
Yes.
Stephanie Leisure.
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian.
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller.
No.
James Cross.
Yes.
Ella Giancarlo.
Yes.
Richard Greenwald.
No.
Robin Tapio.
Yeah.
Philip Goodcrow.
Yeah.
David Puyer. Yeah.
Yes.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston.
Yeah.
Jackie Sears. Colin C.J. Clifford.
How?
Lisa Jumping Eagle DeLeon.
Here.
Craig Dillon.
Yes.
Motion did successfully carry. 12 yes, 7 no. Okay. Thank you, council. Closing statements, John Long.
I think we've said enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have the IHS.
Good afternoon. My name's Mark Mearsman. I'm the CEO of the Pine Ridge IHS Hospital. Thank you. I submitted my report. There's some highlights from that. It includes some CMS information. I'll go into that in a second. ED contract information, reimbursement, where our current status is. A response to the OSG resolution regarding patient valuable loss and claim that I got the other day. So my response is in there to that. Also, I've included a summary as well as the entire CEO report to the OST President Area Office and IHS HQ. This I submit monthly, so I included it for y'all to review. Key point in there is just a summary of facility IT and medical equipment and CMS SIA related requirements, totaling about $23.5 million. That's kind of, it's in summary, it's our needs list for your reference. And there's a couple pages on the status of facility projects. And then in addition, there's some documents.
Mark.
Yes, sir, sorry.
1 second. Robin Tapio had her hand.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, sorry to interrupt, but don't we need a motion to approve that report that John Long just gave?
We do. I motion to accept the BIA report by Robin Tapio. I thank you for that. I was getting wound up here, getting frustrated. Seconded by Lydia Bearkiller. Call for the vote, please.
Lane Little Thunder,
Yeah.
Jim Meeks, Stanley Little Whiteman,
Yes.
Austin Watkins, Chancey Wilson,
No.
Stephanie Leisure,
No.
Valentina Merdanian,
No.
Lydia Bearkiller,
Yes.
James Cross,
Yes.
Ella Giancarlo,
No.
Richard Greenwald,
Yes.
Robin Tapio,
Huh.
Philip Goodcrow,
Hope.
David Puyer, Sonia Little Hawk Weston,
Huh.
Jackie Sears, Colin C.J. Clifford,
Yeah.
Lisa Jumpin' Eagle DeLeon, Craig Dillon,
No.
No, thank you. Motion to accept the BIA report, 9 yes and 8 no, 2 not voting. Thank you. Proceed, please.
Thank you, appreciate that. Okay, so that was a summary and overview of the content of the report. The two pieces I'll specifically address is number one, our CMS recertification and SIA systems improvement agreement. We submitted a report, it was accepted. We are working on the action items and making good progress. We expect a return visit by CMS, and hopefully it's the last one for a while, to close out the SIA. If it proceeds like the visit or resolution to Rosebud's SIA, which I hope for, hopefully our SIA will expire with positive results on the 31st of October. We'll get something by the end of next month, so we're working hard to close that out within the next 35 days. Also with the ED contract, we do expect an award of the new ED contract any day. That was the word last Wednesday at the governing body meeting from Mr. Driving Hawk. The rumor mill is running, I wouldn't say wild, but running a little bit. higher than it usually does with respect to that. So we are waiting for word, because when we get an actual awardee or awardees, we can start to move forward specifically on actions to either continue on with existing staff and work towards moving to a new company if that's the way it works, or companies. So we're looking forward to that, but we expect that any day. Those are the 2 points that I would bring out, and I am available with any further. I can bring any more specifics or address anything else you want, or answer any questions today.
Thank you. You know, I've seen a report here regarding Pine Ridge, Kyle, and Wombly. However, I don't see anything for Martin IHS. And just, you know, recently I believe that Martin IHS needs to have some type of designation for access to Bennett County Hospital or ER for lab and other tools or equipment for proper diagnosis of individuals that utilize Martin IHS. Is there some way that that can be worked out from from Pine Ridge to assist Martin IHS physician that's assigned there for them to access, you know, the labs and stuff like this to properly make a diagnosis? Is that something that can be worked out through your office?
I will take that back to the medical folks. We're going to have to work that with our lab and docs. Sorry. Thank you. To work that out and see how feasible that is. But we'll address that. I will return with the status on that.
Lisa Jumping Eagle, De Leon.
I just have a couple of things. I'd like to thank you, Mark, for the work that had gone into the Manderson Clinic, and then also the dental clinic that is currently being worked on, and I'm really excited about that because we need those services out there. The next thing is, when we were in a meeting in Rapid City, I had asked about the reimbursements for Medicaid, Medicare, private insurance. And I was told after September from prior meetings that we wouldn't get the remaining months for the coding. We wouldn't get those monies back for reimbursements, but when we were at the meeting in Rapid City, the lady over there said that we would. Do you guys go by two different guidelines, or are they the same?
I don't know the specifics of that. Were some of my staff at that meeting? Was at one of the meetings that my staff was at in Rapid, or I'm not exactly sure what meeting you're referring to. I can take back the question though to the business office folks and the money folks to get the answer to that question. I think I'm going to need a little bit greater context, but we can research that.
Okay, and can you just let us know at the next HHS meeting? And also, she said that they reimburse all the way back to 6 months. So if we could get those caught up, I'd appreciate that.
With specifically for that, yes, we can go back 6 months. And in some cases, and I don't have the details, I'd have to go to the business office folks. In some places, in some instances, we can go further back. But 6 months is kind of like, you know, the 80, 90, 95 percentile. And then there are some circumstances where we can go back further. But I can get details on that. Thank you.
Continue, Mark.
I'm available for any questions. Unless I need to.
Sonia, question.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, Mark. I do want to say that I was just looking at your report, and I know at one of the committee meetings back in September 20th, they addressed you on this, on like valuables that get stolen when you're admitted into the IHS hospital. And I know that came to the tribal council about a month ago, and that was addressed to us by a tribal member who was concerned about that. And so I was just reading on the next page, you have an inpatient consent form that they sign, and there is a section on personal valuables. So you guys do have a policy where you can safeguard the personal property of the patients in a safe, right?
Yes, ma'am, that's exactly what that says. We, just further information on that, I did have it in there, but just to verbalize it, we don't have any record of any problems with the process. We don't have any record of putting valuables in the safe to the tune that we're gonna have to get, we haven't used the safe in so long, we have to get the combination from the company because we haven't used it in so long. That is the extent of the history, which is also in the resolution of, you know, how many instances we have no record of anything other than the one last year, and to the tune of using the process. We use it so infrequently, we're going to have to re-engage on the combination just because we have no record of using it. So that gives you the scope of how, you know, how many problems we have, which is very little, and how much usage we have, which is even less.
So in other words, you never probably ran into this situation before. And
Correct.
so this is probably the first time somebody had lost stolen
Yes, ma'am.
property.
That's correct.
Okay, so you're revisiting that then, huh? Just to make sure that you look at everything.
Correct.
The policy.
Yes, I mean,
Okay.
you know, they have to sign that form, and that's, you know, highlighted there, that if you have valuables and you want us to maintain them in our safe, we have a patient valuables bag.
Okay.
Put your stuff in, it goes in the safe, and then we're liable.
Yeah.
Right? If not, we're not
Then you're not
liable.
liable.
Right, but then
Okay.
there's still a process, then they can go to the claims office like they did, and then they have to work with the claims office.
Okay.
We're kind of out of it at that point in time.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Richard Greenwald, and then James Cross.
Mark, as you well know, and so does your staff know, that your third-party billing and your coders and all that are under extreme pressure year-round. These are the people that make it possible for employees to be paid, for medical care outside of your facility to be paid. How often do you check on your employees there to see if there's burnout? You're talking every month or every other month, you're demanding that they don't take leave and that you spend extra hours every so many days a week doing catching up for you guys. I'm concerned because you got employees talking about finding jobs somewhere else because they don't feel appreciated, and they're always under the demand of you're coming to work, you're not taking any leave, and you're gonna get caught up on all this coding. Nobody comes and says, thank you very much for a good job that you're doing. Thank you for bringing all this revenue. What are you doing to sit down with your employees up there so you don't lose them all?
Right, and that's, you know, that is a cooperative effort between the various layers, you know, myself at the top, Chuck, Fonda, Kiva, and the crowd to work together to build that team, right? There's always improvement there, right? And that is one of the harder and tougher jobs, you know, on multiple levels in the building with what you're getting at, because we're under the gun and we're trying to make it to 30 September without running into bill paying problems, right? And we're going to make it to this Friday or Saturday, really, it's the 30th, with that due to their support. I mean, that's critical. We didn't get to where we exactly wanted to be, but we are 60% of the way from 50 plus days in the fall or earlier this year to right at about 20 and under this year. So the progress was huge. We were 60% of the way there. We've got some relief coming, I think, into the new fiscal year in a week or two when the DT track contract with the area expires, and we can put that behind us and move to a better vehicle. And I think we see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, being optimistic with that, which then cascades down to the staff and the results of that. And they're aware of that because of that you know, management work in that process. So there should be relief coming soon. But what you get at is something we can always do better at, and we will. But I appreciate that input, and you're right, because they're the unsung heroes of making the business over there happen. I appreciate you bringing that up. Thank you.
James Cross.
Thank you, Mark. Just a question on our life flight. Which company does the hospital use? What's the primary customer? I mean, a company that you use to to get a patient to the hospital, whether it be West Regional or Rapid City Regional, or would you use a company that would take a patient 55 minutes longer, or would you use a company that can get a patient there 55 minutes shorter?
Right. So your question is multifactorial. You know, what is best for the patient in accordance with, you know, the capability, and as we discovered this last weekend, the weather, and then finally expense. You know, those are sort of the not the only three criteria, but it's medically driven first. You know, do they need to go by air in this time frame? Or fixed wing, let's say plane, or can they go by helicopter, which is a little slower, or can they go by ground, right? And then do they need advanced care life support or basic life support, BLS? So, you know, BLS and ambulance is the least expensive and the longest, but if they need to go by fixed wing because of time or because of their medical condition or other factors, and when I'm talking about that, I'm talking a little bit about behavioral health, because we have to make sure that the patient gets to their destination safely and appropriately, right? So it all depends on given their medical condition, but those are the factors that with which the doctor makes, their ED doctor makes the decision about how are they supposed to get to their destination, whether it be Rapid, Sioux Falls, Scottsbluff, or well, even Minneapolis. But those are the factors that go into it, and you know, it's all situationally based. And what we're looking for, whatever is the right capability that gets the patient to the destination in accordance with the condition that they have. Whether it be speed, the method, the weather, or, you know, at the bottom, if they can, you know, take, you know, when we were forced into moving a lot of patients, a few, I shouldn't say a lot, but relatively speaking, patients by ground this weekend because of weather, you know, that's risky, right? It's all risk management. So that was what we faced this weekend, especially in a confluence of events right about midnight Saturday night. So that was a challenge. And we had to move a lot of patients by ground because air was grounded. But those are the factors. I hope that answers your question. I mean, without the specific instance, it's a little hard. Sorry.
Tina Merdanian.
Sir, I have a couple questions, and I'm sorry if this information's been shared before, but in regards to the outpatient building design and construction, I'm sure there was discussion in regards to the formula and based upon the numbers and the usage for square footage and so forth as to why we needed this outpatient building. And where are the funds coming from? That's the first part. And what, how does preventative care fit in with this new outpatient service? The other thing is I asked for a conversation between you and Suzanne regarding Retchert Table, because Retchert Table is just like Wombly in regards to location, demographics, etc., and they haven't received the care that is needed. They're being bounced back and forth between Suzanne and Pine Ridge IHS. So, you know, my hope is if we can have an outpatient clinic in Retchert Table in that area to serve that membership in that area, because the push between Suzanne and Pine Ridge.
Okay. Two separate things, right? Outpatient clinic at Pine Ridge, and then a new topic for me, I believe, is the outpatient clinic need at Retchert Table, right? Two things? Okay. Outpatient clinic at Pine Ridge. So given our challenges over the last multiple years with respect to the ED, part of that is is a need for a larger ED. Right next to the ED is the outpatient clinic. So we need to move the outpatient clinic out. That would make the most sense in terms of the geography of the building. Move them to different area, whether it be a new building, connected building, or whatever, in this case, a new building, an outpatient clinic, that the clinical engineers and the people from the area who are way more experts than I am have determined, you know, the build of that, and that, you know, those meetings are ongoing and those are available to anybody who wants to come to those and be a part of that discussion. So when that is built with, if I'm not mistaken, I can get the exact color of money, if you will, or the sourcing, but area funds, we have area funds or whatever funding for the outpatient building, they can move out and then we can or alter the existing outpatient clinic to build out the ED to get the space we need, so we're not sticking people outside of rooms or outside of bays, so people can get treated accordingly, you know, in a much larger and appropriately spaced emergency department. So that's the driver. I can get you more details on meetings that are forthcoming, as well as the color of money that's paying for that, okay? With respect to red shirt table and a discussion between Pine Ridge Hospital and Sioux and an outpatient clinic, I'll have to start that. I have not had that on my plate yet, but I'll address that for you. I'll throw some inquiry over the fence to Suzanne and work with them and get their thoughts and talk to my folks about red shirt table. I've not heard that much about that, but I can address that for you and pursue that and figure out what the right solution there is. Does that answer your questions?
Dave Poyer.
Thanks.
And then Sonia, and then Lydia.
Just one, I have a college student that's away from here. Do they fall under the same guidelines as having to report it in so many hours and all that?
Yes, sir, and that's a challenge with the college students, yes. So yes, that doesn't change, it just becomes more challenging.
So are they gonna have to put the appeal into Aberdeen or where? For payment? What the student is stuck with is a bill for riding the ambulance service. So now he's having to pay it back, or the parents are having to pay it back. So who do they appeal to?
Let me talk to my PRC folks and get you a specific answer so I make sure I'm right, as opposed to guess. Okay, but I understand your question, which is the most important thing, and then I can work it back and get you an answer to the specific use case.
Sonia Weston.
Thank you, Mr. President. I guess just one comment, I guess, is what Ms. Merdanian was asking about the red shirt table. And I think that might be under the CHISDA, won't you think? The CHISDA service area. I think they're under our CHISDA area with Pine Ridge. And I know that question always came up because they're close to Rapid City, but they're still on our reservation. And even though they live clear on the north side, they're still covered under our CHISDA area with IHS. So they're not covered under Rapid City, Sioux. Sioux is very limited as how their CHISDA area covers in Rapid City. So even people in Blackhawk, which can be some of our tribal members, are not covered under Sioux's CHISDA area. So just food for thought, they're still under our service unit, our CHISDA area.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Lydia Bear Killer, and then Craig Dilla.
I guess I have one comment is you agreed to start looking at trying to open the Allen Clinic, and these are facilities that are available in the districts that just need help getting them open again. You know, yeah. So we put that in when we first came into this administration, and I was trying to see where you're at with that one.
Okay, so the facility manager at Pine Ridge has done the assessment. That will follow the similar path that the Manderson Clinic did. So we're just going to follow the exact same path on that. We're going to do the exact same thing. Put in the request, work the money. You know, we're expecting that to be in the neighborhood of about 1 to 150 because that's what Manderson costs. That's what we expect. We just have to work it and wait for that funding support from the area. And I include that in my weekly update via the email too.
Craig Dillon.
I know Stan talked to you earlier about the hospital in Martin, and for years I've been trying to get the initial visit to the ER covered by IHS, because a lot of times people don't know the extent of their injury or their illness when they first go into the ER. And in the past, we were told that IHS doesn't have contracts with any other facility, and that turned out to be a lie, because they had contracts with Winter, South Dakota and Valentine, Nebraska. So when you're doing your research on the possibility of getting a contract through with Martin Hospital there, ask for the patterns that they used when they had those two contracts with those two facilities, would you?
You said Valentine, what was the other? Winter?
Winter, South
Just
Dakota.
winter.
Winter.
Oh,
Yeah.
at two ends, got it, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, winter, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Hoping for winter, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, winter and
That's-
Valentine contracts as a model, got it.
I think Tripp County and Cherry County hospitals.
Tripp and Cherry County, okay,
I think that's what it is, isn't it? Yeah.
got it, okay, thank you. I appreciate that
And
help.
one more thing. You know, with the improvements that's being made up there, one of my biggest concerns has always been the people in the ER. So are they getting seen at a more reasonable time, or is it still a marathon wait?
It fluctuates, it's all dependent on what shows. A little bit of what we talked about with respect to the outpatient and the ED is one of the impacts, and that's a long path to there. That will help a huge amount because then it allows people to get into rooms and we can start moving through people faster. So that, I mean, and until that happens, which is after the outpatient, you know, revision or rebuild, or new build is done, then we can expand, you know, the ED, move people through quicker. But there is, you know, that, yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Thank you, Jackie. We have, you know, to compensate for this current challenge, which is a long challenge, is, you know, not necessarily on the hour, but every hour, we have people going through the waiting room, providing an update as to what is going on, to manage expectations, to give people continuous feedback, given the waiting time and the challenges we have. When certainly, and it's very helpful when we have a lot of people there. And, you know, again, that fluctuates day to day, hour to hour. You know, so, you know, between, you know, 10, 11, 12 noon and about 10 at night, that's sort of our, you know, where we peak. And then after 10 o'clock till about 9, 10 o'clock in the morning is where we have that dip. But we have people providing updates every hour to the folks in the waiting room with the circumstances in the wait room, and see if anybody needs anything that we haven't addressed that we may even be missing, right? We don't want to miss anything. We don't want people to stay in there and not get, if they're, you know, not getting any better or getting worse, we want to make sure we catch that. So we've set that protocol up in the last 3 months to do that.
All right.
That's
Thank
as
you.
our situation as we move forward.
I hope it improves. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope so too. Thanks.
Austin Watkins.
Yeah, I'm glad Craig you brought that up on the emergency room. I just had a call this morning and talked to somebody outside, and the young woman had a 3-year-old boy, and she took him in. She said last night at 6 o'clock, he had rash all over him. She went to him at the window, and she was all worried. She ended up sitting there for 5 hours. And she finally got disgusted. This was after 6. She went home at 10. She said she kept eye on him all night, brought him in this morning. She said she had to sit another 4 hours in outpatient. So, you know, there is something that ain't being improved over there. And mainly when you have a little kid there and the parents pretty damn worried about it, you know. And, you know, we need to have someone down there be checking on this stuff. And I know, Big Crow, she's been there before when I was there, and that's what we need, because, you know, you guys ain't there, and you're just hearing what people are saying. But we hear it every day from people when it concerns our people, and, you know, we don't want to be losing anybody, mainly children. So I told them I'd bring that forward.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll look into that today.
Do we have anything else? Any more questions? We have a motion to approve IHS's report, seconded by Lisa Jumping Eagle. Call for the vote, please.
Blaine Little Thunder.
Yeah.
Jim Meeks.
Yes.
Stanley Little White Man.
Yes.
Austin Watkins. Chancey Wilson.
No.
Stephanie Leisure.
No.
Valentina Mardanian.
No.
Lydia Bearkiller. James Cross.
No.
Ella Giancarlo.
No.
Richard Greenwell. Robin Tapio.
Huh.
Philip Goodcrow.
Oh.
David Puyer. Sonia Little Hawk Weston. Jackie Sears. Colin C.J. Clifford.
How, with the thank you for the clinic in Manderson, South Dakota.
Lisa Jumping Eagle Dalion. Craig Dillon.
Yes.
The motion to approve the IHS report, 12 yes, 6 no, 1 not voting. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, we have our next one. We had, for the Oglala district, we're moving into the district part. Hang on there. Just lighten up. Jesus. Whole bunch of hens in a hen house cackling forever. Why now? Just you. Well, we might just put you at 10 o'clock tonight just for that. That was covered up on my microphone. That's why I didn't see it. But now we have the Oglala Sioux Nursing Home. So come on up. Motion to table by Dave Poyer. Motion to table. Please proceed.
You guys got fancy here, so I don't know what we're doing here. Good afternoon, everybody. Well, it's been a long day. Let's see, you all got your little report, I hope? We gave out reports this morning. As of today, we have 29 residents.
1 second, hold on.
Okay.
For the record, we need you to introduce
I'm sorry.
yourselves.
Susan Puyer, Administrator of the Oglala Sioux Lakota Nursing Home.
Pam McDonald, I'm the Director of Nursing. I can give you mine.
Thank you. Are we ready?
Who doesn't have a report? Collins, do you have a report? Everyone have a report? Okay, proceed, please.
Okay, as of today, we have 29 residents. I'm going to have Pam talk to you a little bit about palliative care and that 2 of our residents will be leaving.
So we have 29 residents with another one. He was admitted to Rapid City Regional, so we're just waiting to get him. We have 2 of them on palliative care. Palliative care to us is hospice. They're at the end of life. It could be anywhere from 6 days to 6 months to a year on palliative care. But what we're doing for those residents is just making them comfortable. They can still, if they're having a good day, they can still come out. They can do activities. They can come out to the dining room. But if they're not feeling well, we're not going to take them to activities or push them to do something that they don't want to do. We have two that will probably rejoin the community in the next couple of months. They're doing very, very well in the nursing home and have been looking into different housing options for them that will suit them. So that will be wonderful to get them back into the community. Turn that back over. I gave my copy away. We gave, my MDS coordinator has resigned. She is moving to Hope, Kansas. So we have hired a new MDS coordinator. MDS is, of course, the Medicare data, that's how we get paid. So she's coming in with experience, and we're gonna just continue on as we are. Our dietitian, Steve Arity, is from IHS. He's doing wonderful. A lot of communication between us and him, which is wonderful. We have a restorative program now. I know the last time we were here, we talked about the differences between restorative therapy and physical, occupational, and speech therapy. So our restorative therapy, we have about 12 residents on restorative therapy right now. And what we do is we walk to dine. We help with transfers, getting up from one chair to another chair or into their bed or something along those lines. We have 12 people on that. We have one restorative aide. I hope that we'll have a need to have another one soon. With our resident population growing, I think our need for another restorative aide will also be there. We have, we've had a lunch and a tour with the Gordon CEO of the Gordon Hospital, Don Wiedemann, to go over a few of the issues we've been having with Gordon Hospital, Gordon Clinic, Gordon Lab. He was very receptive to us, thought the facility was just beautiful. So we are going to be on the medical staff's agenda here in the next month to go and speak to them personally. We want to get out there to know them, to see if they'll come to our facility to treat our residents instead of having to take our residents to them all the time. So we're hoping that we're going to get that relationship going. And then we're still hiring nurses and CNAs. If anybody knows of anybody, send them our way. But we're hoping that census will be up to 40 by December. That's very conservative to me. I would like it to be up to 50, but I'll take 40. 60. Yep.
If I can say, since we're on the radio, if anybody's interested in taking the CNA courses, to please contact OLC. Great Plains Tribal Chairman's Health Board gives them a stipend. They pay for all their books, they pay for the tests, and they give them mileage. So we need CNAs. And we start them out at 15 an hour, no experience. And our med aides start at 16 an hour, no experience.
Jackie Sears.
Yeah, Susan, how much, how long is that training? Is it 6 months, 9 months?
It's a month. 1 month.
Yeah.
1 month?
And they do the clinicals out to the nursing home, and they'll do the clinicals out there, and then we're trying to set up our little classroom out there for them to come there, but we're in that process. But just please pass the word. We need CNAs, males, females.
Lakota speakers.
Yep.
Sonia Weston.
You know, I think that what you're saying is you're trying to get it set up here at the nursing home, at the Lakota, the classes. Because we have some that I know a lot of times they'll hit us up for gas to get to Rushville. And so I really want to make sure that our people out there are listening, because there is some that will come in and say, I'm going to be driving back and forth to Rushville for my CNA. And they want help, and they seem to want to get help every single day. And, you know, the treasurers sometimes don't want to do that. So I want to make sure that if you provide it here, that our membership can just go here without, you
But
know.
if they're going to school in Rushville, they're getting funded by Great Plains Tribal Chairmans, and they get mileage, and they get a stipend, and they pay for their books.
So they're doing that. Okay, all right, okay, thank you.
We have 44 employees. We have 5 traveling nurses that we're trying to get rid of because they're very expensive. So if you know of any nurses, we can match IHS salary. We have health insurance. We're working on the other retirement now. So we can match what IHS is paying their nurses. So if you know of any nurses. I included the profit and loss in there, and you'll see the revenue, the finances. So we're okay. We pay the Shakapees 2 payments quarterly now, and we paid all our bills up. We're going, so we're doing okay.
Lisa Jopanigo de Leon.
I just had a question. I overheard somebody talking about them opening, the nursing home, opening it up to other tribal members besides Oglala Sioux tribe. Is that true?
Yes, they passed the
or non-members?
No, they have to be
enrolled members of any federally recognized tribe.
Okay.
All right.
The board passed that.
I'm sorry.
We have a lot of members that are married to non-members
Yes.
that are from other tribes.
Robin Tapio.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think I asked this question before, but do you guys provide physical therapy or no rehab services,
We
right?
don't get reimbursed for physical therapy, but we do restorative.
So if you have,
Go ahead. We get reimbursed for restorative. So restorative, we get them up, we walk them, help them move from their wheelchair into their chairs. We exercise with them every day with their arms and whatnot. It's just not called physical therapy.
so would you be willing to take a patient, or I guess a customer, or whatever you want to call them, and that had the need, not a customer, excuse me, but resident, there you go. Would you be willing to take a resident that needed those kind of services and be able to provide that for them?
No.
No.
We are not a skilled facility, and that's the difference between a non-skilled and a skilled facility. We don't have the licensing to provide those skills.
Stephanie Leisure.
Is there a cap under the Great Plains Tribal Chairmen's Association for how many can apply under that program for training?
I'm not sure I can answer that. They would have to call Geraldine LeBeau. Yeah. Church.
Okay.
Geraldine LeBeau Church. Oh yeah, Lynn Big Eagle too would be another one. Any more questions?
Can we tell about some of our frustrations?
Yes, you can.
Okay, we have some frustrations. I have a lot of elders out there that all their lives have been going down to the BIA, to social service office, and to land office to look at their lease money and whatnot. And keep in mind, a lot of them have dementia, and they'll go back day to day. They want to go down to the BIA office. So we asked the BIA if they could come out and visit, because it's tough for us to load them up and get them out, and it's cold and whatnot. And they said we have to make an appointment to bring them down. So if I could have your assistance, maybe you can help us get maybe the BIA people to come out to visit our residents regarding their lease incomes and our IIM accounts and whatnot, if you could help us with that.
Richard Greenwald, Philip Goodcrow.
I know
Yep,
John Long
you just
started
asked
a new process to where they're gonna try to go out to a different district every month. And I think that's something that we should probably put on their agenda as the nursing home once a month.
That would
So
really
if we could do that out of
benefit
committee.
us.
Motion, that'd be my motion to.
Motion by
have
Richard Greenwald to have the BIA put that on their visitation schedule.
At least once a month to come take care of
Once a
business.
month, seconded by Ella John Carlo. Call for the vote, please.
Lane Little Thunder,
Yes.
Jim Meeks,
Yes.
Stanley Little White Man,
Yes.
Austin Watkins, Chancey Wilson,
Yes.
Stephanie Leisure,
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian.
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller.
Yes.
James Cross.
Yes.
Ella Giancarlo.
Yes.
Richard Greenwald.
Yes.
Robin Tapio.
Huh.
Philip Goodcrow.
Oh.
David Puyer. Sonia Lilhawk Weston.
Ha.
Jackie Sears.
Huh.
Colin C.J. Clifford.
Ho.
Lisa Jumpin' Eagle DeLeon. Lisa Craig Dillon.
Yes.
19.
Motion carried, 19 yes. Thank you, council.
Thank you.
Another thing.
Hold on. I'm trying to find my notes. It was next. Philip Goodcrow.
Good afternoon. I just want to say thank you for taking care of our tribal residents, our elders and so forth. I have just received a text from an individual, and CNA, if you could, where would they be able to get training? Could they get training on the res or?
Yes, called the Great Plains Tribal Chairman's Health Board up in Rapid City. They're working with OLC, and OLC is providing the courses. Great Plains Tribal Chairman's Health Board in Rapid City. Give them a call. They have stipends, they pay for the books, they pay for your testing, etc.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm sure they heard that. Thank you.
Philip, get their phone number, put it out there, huh? Continue, please.
Your phone number.
As you know, we have quite a few of our elderly residents that are court ordered out there. And I just want to applaud Vernona Kilswright, is that her name? Yeah. She is coming out now twice a month to work with us. And I know we still have some residents that are court ordered over in the Martin Nursing Home, and I haven't heard nothing on that. It's been a few months. So Craig, can you kind of update us on that? We're ready.
I know Dave's room's waiting for him, but we'll get to that later. If a person is certified in South Dakota, is that certification for CNA good in Nebraska?
No. No, but it takes us 5 days to switch it.
Oh, so it's just a matter?
Yeah.
So they don't have to go through all the classes and all the BS?
They'll have to do abuse training, which is just online. It just takes a few minutes.
No, it takes an hour. You have to have an hour training of abuse.
Okay, but still, it is, and then, because Bennett County, I think, is the one that texted me here, that they're gonna have classes at the nursing home?
Not now. We're having classes.
No,
at
no,
OLC.
in Bennett County.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so, just for everybody's information. And I will be working on getting them other people here, but I need the names because we need to make a visit to the court, I think, and ask to open those. Because we do have a problem there in Bennett County that the elderly that smoked all their lives aren't gonna quit. You know what I mean? And there's been a few cases in Bennett County there where they've actually put a patch on these individuals without asking anybody. So, you know, to me, that's violating their civil rights. If they want to smoke and you're 85 years old, that's up to you. You're not going to change.
Right.
And so we need to respect that. That's up to them. So I'm going to be doing more work on that, so I will be getting a hold of you again. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you. Scott came last week, his office, and they asked, what do you want to eat? The president's office is going to feed you. And they said they wanted inch ribeyes. Well, Scott did purchase the ribeyes for them, and they were ecstatic, and they each received a star blanket and an OST t-shirt, and I'm going to ask Marquita if she'll do the embroidery with their names on. So they're just really happy about their star
they're
blankets.
ecstatic.
So
I just love them.
That was really good. I really appreciate that, Scott.
One of the other things too is that I did make mention, and I don't know if they did say this, but we will be doing Thanksgiving. That's probably about every 3 months is when I try to get back out there, and I think that's the next time. So my office, my staff, and myself will be out there on Thanksgiving Day to eat with the residents and those new members that are new residents that are coming in. You know, we can get more quilts for them, because I believe that's a homey type of feeling when you go out there. And I say this for those of you that haven't been in there, go be out there for a day. I mean, even an hour. You will understand what that means to those elderly residents or those, you know, confined residents that are there. I mean, it means a lot just to say hi, just to smile, to give them that opportunity to say hi back, and it makes them feel good about themselves, and you feel good about yourself for being there, because I believe that's why we're all here. So I thank you for everything that you guys do right now, you know.
Thank you. You kept us out here all day, so we're going to be behind. But come out to lunch. Let us know by 10 o'clock every day. It's $5 to eat. And that's nothing. They have the best meals around. She's worked in many nursing homes, and she said she's never seen meals quite like ours. So.
And we don't have a lot of weight losses at the nursing home, where a lot of people, when they go into the nursing home, they don't eat. Yeah, that doesn't happen here. They like to eat, and it's good food, and it's traditional food. So they really like that. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
They make a motion to approve the report.
Motion by Lydia to approve the report, seconded by Craig Dillon. Call for the vote, please.
Blaine Little Thunder,
Yes.
Jim Meeks,
Yep.
Stanley Little White Man,
Yes.
Austin Watkins, Chancey Wilson,
Yes.
Stephanie Leisure,
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian,
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller,
Yes.
James Cross,
Yes.
Ella Giancarlo,
Yes.
Richard Greenwald,
Yes.
Robin Tapio, Philip Goodcrow,
Out.
David Puyer, Sonia Little Hawk Weston, Jackie Sears, CJ Clifford, Lisa Jumping Eagle DeLeon, Craig Dillon.
Yes.
19 unanimous. Thank you very much, ladies. I appreciate everything you do, we all do. You know, in regards to what we talked about and having the frustrations from the staff on behalf of the residents, John Long just came back to give us an update of what his frustrations are, I guess, or he don't want to, or what, or something, but no, but go ahead, John.
Real quick, I don't want to step in real quick, but just so you folks are aware, there's rules that prohibit our social services staff from going out to the nursing home, and one of them is, which is a huge one, is some of our clients that are IM clients require their guardian to be present during any communications. So although we would like to go out and as it was indicated, touch base or maybe talk to some folks out there, we are prohibited from discussing anything to do with their cases unless their guardian is present. And that requires the communication with the courts, and the court has to set those meetings up. And a lot of times the guardian is the court itself. So getting one of those two prosecutors from the court to be able to come out and meet with us has been real difficult. So I just want to make sure you folks are aware of that. It's not that we don't want to. It's just that we're prohibited from discussing their cases without a guardian or somebody representing them present. Go ahead, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Craig.
Scott, couldn't you orchestrate that through your office with the prosecutors to go with you out there?
I was just going to make that recommendation because, you know, we do that quite often anyway, is that we start a process to take you with us and bring those prosecutors or whomever to where we can go out there and they sit down and say, what do we got to do? And find out from the staff who somebody has signature authority or power of attorney to some of these other residents, and we can have them come out too if they have them questions. It's easily fixed.
Yeah.
Robin Tapio.
Other quick issue, real quick, just so you know, we were, at the end of the year, drawing our program funds down, and there was a bunch of modifications that were sent to the tribe, so you can let your contracting folks know. ASAP had some issues yesterday, they fixed it, so apparently we were able to get in today, so whoever your tribal contract was, Olivia, whoever, can go in, and we should be able to draw down the remainder of your 17 money for whatever programs are still outstanding, so you might want to check with your folks.
I will text Dean Patton as soon as we get out of here.
Okay,
Thank you. Let's take a 5-minute break. I know everybody needs a cigarette and a little walk and We are. Oh yeah, this from this weekend. Okay. It is 4:16. We will come back into session. At this time, we have Yvonne Ito from HHS, on the HHS. You can introduce and then we can move on from there. Lydia?
Okay, thank you. Okay, Yvonne Ito was a lady that the Oglala Sioux tribe contracted with to complete our Title 4E planning grant. And our deadline is September 29th. 29th is our deadline to submit or complete this planning grant. So as of today, Ms. Ito is telling the tribe that everything on this planning grant is done and submitted. But I'm gonna turn it over to her and she could explain the planning grant, how it came about, where we're at, and if there's anything that we need to do it today so that we'll meet that deadline. Move on.
Okay, thank you.
Please, for the record, introduce yourself. Push the long red button so the light comes on underneath. There you go.
Okay. Okay, good afternoon. My name is Yvonne Ito, and I work for an agency called A Positive Tomorrow. And we are under contract with the Oglala Sioux tribe to complete the planning grant. Here is the completed planning grant. I'm handing it to President Weston. That has been submitted to, that piece there has been submitted to the feds. It has been reviewed. There's two pieces that are missing. One was handed to me today as a resolution saying that the tribe states that the court will follow the planning grant should it choose to implement. And then the last thing is there's a couple of documents where I need President Weston's signature. I'm hoping he's going to do that right now so I can submit it tonight.
Lisa Jumpanigo de Leon.
I'm the type of person who wants to look at the documentation, but I'd also like to request to have Dean Patton here and Olivia Grass to see if their part is also taken care of within this grant.
Right. From my understanding, at least from yesterday, the software person hasn't been contacted yet. So Dean would have until the end of this month to contact, because what happens is if once the planning grant has been officially approved, the part of the $300,000 that was given to the tribe, you can no longer purchase software with that. So we've kind of waited. We've kind of waited for a little while to submit the grant. It was actually completed last week, but we've been waiting a couple days. But I don't know if he's had time to contact the software person. I know last week we were at a training and yeah.
Where is security? Need somebody to call. Dean, Donna? Need Dean and Olivia down here? Also, you handed me the resolution. This is the XB resolution, but we need a resolution, a tribal council resolution.
Okay.
For it to be passed so that we can sign it as a council decision.
Okay, I'll submit this with the plan though as well. So, so do these signatures here, are you able to sign those today?
Not until we have a resolution.
Okay.
Not until we have a tribal council resolution.
Okay.
Okay. Here's Dean Patton right here. Lisa, you had some questions for Dean Patton.
With the grant that she's proposing, have you gone through it and everything's okay with it and it's good to go?
We submitted it to Susan.
Okay, with the current 4E grant,
I'm unsure. I have not seen the current 4E grant. The only thing that I've been viewing is the information that has been submitted to Eileen West at the funding agency for the grant.
Why is it? Chairman Weston.
Collins Clifford.
Why isn't, you don't got a copy of the grant?
Because most likely I haven't received it. If anything, nothing was turned over to our contracts office yet for our review.
Yvonne,
They were submitted to contracts. Susan said that she's been sending everything to the contracts after she approves it.
Lydia Bear Killer, please.
So see, that's the reason why we are asking for one hard copy of everything that was submitted by Yvonne. And because the reports was come in to the contracts office and to Dean by email. And some of the email I have, but those packets are so big. How much pages is it now? 300 and some?
103 and then 121.
That's how much pages it is. So what I was asking is if Olivia could download that and print it out, and then there'll be, so she has one copy right there. Yeah, so Olivia needs to come over and look at it, but the whole planning grant document is in Scott's hands right there.
Give it to Olivia and Dean, so they can get.
That's from the beginning. There's about, how many pieces to that? 6? There was 1, 2, yeah, there was 7 sections to the grant. And every time something was submitted, it got emailed to us. So it came like in portions. Like what she submitted, what they responded to, the corrections, and then it was sent back, the corrections. So that piece should be all one document right here.
Right.
With you, Dean, right there, that one you have in your hand.
Okay.
So if the council wants copies of that, you know, it's gonna be 230 some pages. Or if you wanna pass that around.
I think that all the communications with our federal monitor of the programs and acting director of the tribe, he should have all of this communications, and if all subject matters are handed in, I need to have a confirmation from Mr. Patton that says, yeah, everything is good, and I'll sign off on it. But if he's hadn't signed off on one of the 7 documents, then we got a problem. Then that way he can confirm in Washington that, yeah, everything submitted now.
Dean Patton.
Yes, and again, just for some clarification here on this Title 40 planning grant, I've been in touch via email with Eileen West on all the sections that were not complete. Yvonne eventually submitted them, they reviewed them, they completed them and approved those sections. As of today, this is the first time I've known of the complete whole document. And again, we at the tribe, I'm saying our contracts office, myself, through the grants team, needs to review this whole grant with also Yvonne so we could get a better understanding of everything that's there. From that point forward, most likely what we'll do is bring it to the standing committee, okay? Once our review process is completed, okay?
They shouldn't be coming here to get approval without going to you.
Correct. It should also come from the standing committee anyway first.
Lisa Jumping Eagle. Okay, Sonia Weston.
You know, I think that with the Title 4E planning grant, you know, just recently we approved the, I think it's the personnel policy and procedures manual, and it does state in there about the grants committee. It has all these different parts in the manual that we're supposed to be following. So, Dean, in the manual, how we just said, you're supposed to follow that. So I think that, you know, this is the first time I've seen it too, and I don't have time to look at this whole thing and just approve it today. So I really believe that we need to give it back to you, and if you could maybe with Olivia to make sure everything is in place according to Title 4E,
Right.
that it is completed. Are we able to ask for an extension, or just not, but just to give us some time, because the end of this week, right, is supposed to be
The
submitted.
29th on Friday is the deadline.
So would you guys be able to do it before then?
Yeah, so from my understanding, once Eileen West and them reviewed all the
Okay.
documents, they got it to them, they approved them.
Yep.
That was a plus for the tribe, okay?
Okay.
Everything was submitted, but we still need to review and get it approved.
So I know Lydia's presenting this, but could we give Dean and contracts time to review this week and bring it back if we need to, or they have to approve it, or if we have to approve it and get it before the
I
end
would
of the month?
ask Dean how long it would take
How long
him.
will it take?
I just asked Yvonne here if we could sit down, the urgency of it, if we could sit down tomorrow or Thursday, get it reviewed and get it completed, and hopefully if council's still in session, bring it
Friday.
back.
And tell us that everything is good. Okay,
And then what if that doesn't pan out
yeah.
by Friday?
Okay, and I'm pretty sure, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say, if we sit down and review that huge document with Yvonne's assistant, we should be able to go through the whole document.
Yeah.
But the biggest key thing here is the funding agency already approved each section in this.
Okay.
But
So you guys
internally,
have to-
we have to follow our own internal process on it, okay? That's,
Stanley, Jackie, and then Lydia. Sonia, would turn your microphone off?
You know, that's what I was going to suggest, was that Dean mentioned having reviewed bits and pieces of this as it went along. So I think they have a pretty good idea of what the whole planning grant is. And the thing about it is that they just need to go back through and follow the process of review, contracts, and then it goes to a committee. I think we could have it done by Thursday at least.
Jackie Sears.
Yeah, Dean, on the software part, where is that at? Is that going to be included?
the software part itself, we still have the funds available for that part of it. And yes, we need to actually, once we approve this, we need to move forward with the software part of it. That's the key component of this whole Title 4E planning grant.
Yeah, I think, Yvonne, is there a timeline? Is there any way to carry it over to purchase, or once that day hits, then that's it?
Well, see, according to the federal law, since that's a planning grant, you can only use federal money to purchase software programs during the planning stages. So once this is turned in, and like Dean said, this has all been approved piece by piece by piece. So they're not going to go through this. They're just going, the only thing that we had pending is the resolution that we received today saying the court will follow, and then these documents that President Weston needs to sign saying, yes, I certify that we're submitting this plan. Once those papers are submitted, it's going to be approved. So once you receive that official approval, then you'll no longer be able to purchase So probably, maybe tomorrow we can call the gentleman, and at least if you solidify saying we are going to buy this from you, then we can submit that email allocating the funds, because otherwise you're going to have to, if there's leftover monies that you can't account for, it's gonna have to be returned. So the goal is not to return any money, just to utilize it. Well, you can't say CPS, you can say 4E, because it's not CPS, correct?
Lydia Bearkiller.
Okay, so at one last council meeting, the Eileen West and Susan was here. And basically, everything that Yvonne turned in, they went portion by portion by portion all the way down to the two items that was needed. Okay, but as of today, Yvonne Ito did her job and putting this grant together and submitting everything that is required, the changes that was made, the explanation to the feds. So that all got done. And so I guess it's here with our contracts, and Dean, But Dean was at that meeting. And everything that was presented in this grant, Dean was there, Olivia was there. Okay, so the two portions that was missing was the resolution that we did. This is the template using the court TECO orders, anyway, the process that the courts use for CPS. Okay, so executive board approved it. But I'm gonna ask that the council approves this today. You know, just reaffirm the executive committee's resolution, because we need this attached to this grant when it's all sent in. And I really hate to delay this. And like Dean and Yvonne is both saying, all this was submitted to the feds. The feds reviewed it. Every change, every question they're asking was sent back to the tribe. Okay, and then the tribe corrected those, or attached everything that was requested by document and was submitted back to the feds. So I don't think we should take, I'm not even gonna say Thursday. If it's not gonna go today, I think we need to put it back on like tomorrow afternoon, so it could all be submitted, and it'll give the feds like Thursday to Friday to respond. And if it fails, you know, the tribe's obligated for the whole $300,000. It's really important that we stick to the time frame of this. And we did, you know, request Yvonne, you know, to do this within what, 60 days?
45.
45 days to get this done. So, you know I want to see documents, I know I want to see everything, but if Dean's gonna look at this hard copy, somehow tonight, if every one of you want a copy of that, the secretary's gonna have to run the copies for everybody that's here. But everybody will have a copy of it. But I would like to,
Can I respond?
Yeah.
Can I respond to you? So I have an email and I can forward it to whoever wants to see it. I just re-forwarded it to Dean. But, so they're not going, the feds are not going to review this anymore. They've already done that. Because we had to submit section 2 approved, section 3 approved, and then going through that. So the only thing that's missing is that reso that we received and the signatures from President Weston on behalf of the Oglala Sioux tribe, and then Dean has to spend the money. So those are the only pieces that are missing. So that they're not going to, I mean, again, I have an email from Sioux saying, okay, just send those attachments once the tribe signs it and we're good to go. So there's no way that it's going to be returned, and there's no way that the tribe is going to have to pay that back.
well, I'm just saying that we need our documents,
Right.
and the council needs to accept this work
Right.
before, so we don't be obligated to that 300,000. And when the feds were here, meaning Eileen West and Susan, they said I could go to the courthouse and ask a chief judge to verify that we are using this TECO order template, and you know what the process is for juvenile court, or when you remove children, or that stuff, or she said a resolution. So I thought that the resolution that went through executive committee would be the document to affirm that these are the documents. So today I'm gonna motion to approve or reaffirm resolution 17147XB. And the headline is resolution of the executive committee of the Oglala Sioux tribe, resolution of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux tribe, resolution of the Oglala Sioux tribe approving the template for the Oglala Sioux tribe's juvenile court to comply with the requirements of Title 4E of the Social Security Act. Everybody got a copy of this, so let's just make a motion to reaffirm this resolution and move it.
I have a question about that resolution before we begin. Can we have a copy of, can we have that resolution right there?
Do you have copies? Everybody got a copy?
I just handed mine back over there. Tina Merdanian and then Collins Clifford.
Given the current discussion, as mentioned, it still has to be reviewed as per our guidelines, and the software still needs to be purchased and the funds allocated for the software before a resolution is made, and a resolution does need to be developed. So I'd like to move forward and table this until Thursday to bring it back by Thursday with the resolution for council to approve.
Motion to table by Tina Merdanian, seconded by Collins Clifford, and bring back Thursday morning. Yes, first thing on the agenda. Okay, call for the vote.
So can I just ask one more question?
Blaine
Sorry.
Little Thunder.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Jim Meeks. Stanley Le Whiteman.
No.
Austin Watkins.
No.
Chancey Wilson.
No.
Stephanie Leisure.
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian.
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller.
No.
James Cross. Ella Giancarlo.
No.
Richard Greenwald.
No.
Robin Tapio.
Yeah.
Philip Goodcrow.
Out.
David Puyer. Sonia Lilhawk Weston.
Yeah.
Jackie Sears.
Yeah.
CJ Clifford.
Yeah.
Lisa Jumpin' Eagle DeLeon.
Yeah.
Craig Dillon.
No.
To table.
The motion to table did fail. 4 yes, 15 no.
So I got a motion with the resolution.
Wait, hold on.
I have a question or comment, I should say, is that allowing people to come in here and circumvent our policies and not follow them, especially on financial business, is setting a tone for our people to understand and other people to come in that they don't have to follow them rules. And what allows the authority of that to come in here, Yvonne, and not follow our policies? Why is it you're not following our policy would be my question to you.
I was invited to come here today to present the 4E.
By HHS. Question, Dave Puyer?
Mr. Chairman, mine's similar to what CJ is saying, because we just told the Bureau and we wanted them to follow our policies. Now this one comes and we don't follow the policies, so I'm getting confused here. Is it depend on what department you're in that you don't have to follow? Because we have a review, Mr. Patton just said we had a review deal, and now if we pass this, there's no need for the review because it's done passed. So it has to go through that review process.
Richard Greenwald, and then we'll go back to you.
Chair, I think many of us understand the process that the tribe has in place. Oftentimes, when it comes to grants and things like that, there's timelines that cause this tribe to have to push things a little further and to, in essence, have to break our own rules because of timelines and restraints like that. If we want the money, sometimes we have to process these things in a different manner, and it's not trying to circumvent anything or anything like that, but it's trying to bring money in here that is much needed for our communities. And with grants, oftentimes it's like that. You know, it's not trying to purposely do it, it just happens like that sometimes.
Robin Tapio, and then
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, point well taken, what Richard said, and, you know, we need to remember that we had a tribal member working on this grant, and she left us hanging, so to speak. And Yvonne was good enough to come in and finish this up, and there are time frames. So it's about our children, folks. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna say that HHS, we didn't circumvent anything. Okay, so in 2014, that administration that was coming in and one was going out, the whole process for this grant came forward. Everything was approved all the way till that selection was made. With our tribal member came in to do this planning grant. Okay, it came in it's a 3-year grant, and on the 3rd year, this is the last year, and we're not circumventing anything. We hired our contracted Yvonne Ito to finish this planning grant. So it went through the whole process coming here to this table. So with that, I'm gonna make the motion to reaffirm Executive Committee Resolution number 17147XB.
And authorize submission for the grant.
Okay, authorize the submission for the grant.
Okay?
His signature, yeah. And with the president's signature?
Donna Solomon, Secretary.
When we approved the resolution that Lydia is referencing, I tried to get that TECO template. I'm not able to. If you notice on that attachment, still in draft, I asked HHS committee secretary and she could not get it neither. So I do need those templates, and I do need one that does not have draft. As far as these documents, we need them on record. But a couple of years ago, I went to a 4E training, and in it, they stated that once we assume this, we will be paying a percentage. And I'm just wondering, has finance determined that and where that money comes from?
Okay, so on the secretary, the TECO is a temporary emergency custody order. And it's just a document that's already there at the courthouse. Any advocate, social worker could come in and file a TECO to temporarily remove children. Okay, and then on the next question, this is a planning grant. The implementation part, whether the tribe moves forward or not, would be up to the body. This is just completing the grant itself. But what she's saying is what percentage or how the money's gonna come is to implement it. Right now, the tribe where we're at, I don't think we have the means to implement it right away. All we're saying is let's accept the planning grant completion, that's all done, and submit it. And that'll satisfy that $300,000 planning grant that the Oglala Sioux tribe got. And then if the tribe's gonna move on submission and implementation, we'll bring that forward too. And that's where we'll spell it out. What, 20%, 5%, or whatever percent that's required.
I just want to say I did call the courthouse and they could not provide me with a clean copy as well. Thank you.
Well, you have one.
Sonia Weston.
I think.
And then we're going to cease discussion, and we got a motion on the floor.
What Lydia stated was correct. I think I want to make sure we understand what we're approving today. So it's clarified that the only thing we're approving is just approving the XB resolution, like what you approved through XB, as just because the Title 4E grant is finished, then that's what needs to be approved and submitted. I think the other part of it, what Dean was talking about, is a grant. If there's another grant that's being written by Ms. Ito, then that grant needs to be brought through the grant process, which is listed in the policy. If you were going to write a grant, then you would follow that process with the Oglala Sioux tribe. You just don't do it on your own and, get the money for the grant. So you just need to understand that part of it, Yvonne. So I think that's where we have a grants committee, which is what Dean is talking about. This part, Dean, the purple binder that's going around, you're going to look at it. You're still going to look at it?
Tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
Okay, and so you need to come back and let us know if everything is legit, everything is complete, like we're hearing today, and that way we understand that once we go ahead and pass this, if it passes, then you're still going to come back with that binder, say, yeah, everything is okay, and got with Eileen West, you know, all of that, right? Yeah, with Olivia? Okay, so I just want to clarify that part of it. Okay.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Lydia, we have a motion on the floor by Lydia, seconded by Robin. Or you got a question over here? Ella John Carlo.
Real quick, Madam Secretary, I think you need to check with the prosecutor's office for that TECO form, that they should be able to provide that there.
Thank you. I usually work with the committee secretaries to make sure that we do get all the documents, but wasn't able to.
We have a motion and a second. Please call for the vote. Do you want to read the resolution?
The whole thing, but,
The motion.
the motion of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council to ratify and affirm resolution number 17-147XB and authorize submission of the Title 40 planning grant to HHS, ACF, and authorize the tribal president to sign necessary documents to submit the grant on behalf of the Oglala Sioux tribe.
And that's your motion.
That's my motion.
We have a seconded by Robin Tapio. Call for the vote.
Lane Little Thunder? Jim Meeks?
Yes.
Stanley Little Whiteman?
Yes.
Austin Watkins? Chancey Wilson?
Yes.
Stephanie Leisure?
No.
Valentina Merdanian?
No.
Lydia Bearkiller?
Yes.
James Cross? Ella Giancarlo?
Yes.
Richard Greenwald?
Yes.
Robin Tapio?
Huh.
Philip Goodcrow?
How,
David Puyer? Sonia Little Hawk Weston?
Ha.
Jackie Sears?
Huh?
CJ Clifford?
Yeah.
Lisa Jumpin' Eagle DeLeon? Craig Dillon?
Yes.
Motion approved. 15 yes, 4 no. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, we moved, earlier today, we moved our districts. Oglala decided that they wanted to do theirs tomorrow. And we moved Wakpamni, and then Wounded Knee. And then we have another one from the Law and Order from Stanley that we need to do expediently. But hold on here, we're not done yet, just hang on. So I want to get that put out there so that we can close up real soon, because we've got a long week to do. So, Jackie Sears.
Originally, I just told you that the auditors needed to do their report in the morning. Now
Yeah,
I just got a
so-
message that it changed. Mason just texted and said they're not going to be here till 4 tomorrow. So, yeah, their arrangements, flight arrangements have changed, so tomorrow at 4.
So we'll have them at the end of the day. That's fine, we can move them then. So we have the Wakpamni District. You have something to put on your...
Thank you, Mr. President. Under Wakpamni District, we have a resolution of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe and Unincorporated Tribe, resolution of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe recognizing Wakpamni District's affirmation of Alice Sears Perkins as the Wakpamni District Executive Board Secretary, effective May 24th, 2017. Whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe adopted its constitution and bylaws by referendum vote on December 14th, 1935, in accordance with Section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, 25 U.S.C. subsection 5123, and under Article 3 of the Constitution, the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council is the governing body of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And whereas the Wakpamni District is recognized in the Constitution of the Oglala Sioux Tribe as a self-governing district in accordance with Article 4 of the Tribal Constitution and operates in accordance with the district constitution. And whereas the Wakpamni District Executive Board did accept on May 24th, 2017, Alice Sears Perkins, Calico Community within the Wakpamni District as Wakpamni District Executive Board Secretary for the remainder of the 2016-2018 Wakpamni District Executive Board terms. Now therefore be it resolved that the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe does hereby recognize Wakpamni District's affirmation of Alice Sears Perkins as the Wakpamni District Executive Board Secretary. And be it further resolved that the affirmation of Ms. Sears Perkins as Executive Board Secretary is effective May 24, 2017, and will be for the remainder of the Wakpamni District Executive Board terms for 2016-2018. And with that, I so move.
Motion by Sonia Weston, second by Lydia Bearkiller. Question, Dave Poyer.
Sonia and Jackie, are these going to go through that background check? Stuff to complaint? All right.
Okay. Any more? Call for the vote, please.
Blaine Little Thunder,
Oh,
Jim Meeks.
yes.
Stanley Little White Man.
Yes.
Austin Watkins. Chancey Wilson.
Yes.
Stephanie Leisure.
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian.
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller.
Yes.
James Cross.
Yes.
Ella Giancarlo.
Yes.
Richard Greenwell.
Yes.
Robin Tapio.
Huh.
Philip Goodcrow.
Oh,
David Poyer. Sonia Little Hawk Weston.
Ha.
Jackie Sears.
Abstain.
Colin C.J. Clifford.
Abstain.
Lisa Jumping Eagle DeLeon.
Aha.
Craig Dillon.
So we'll put you on in the morning?
Baby bunny wraps.
Motion carried, 15 yes, 0 no, 2 abstain, and 2 not voting. Thank you, council.
The next resolution, Ms. Sears will read that one.
Resolution of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe, an unincorporated tribe. Resolution of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe affirming Wakpamni District's affirmation of Sandy Tulance installation for the Vice President position for the Wakpamni District Executive Board for the remaining 2016 and 2018 term. Whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe adopted its constitution and bylaws by referendum vote on December 14, 1935, in accordance with Section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, 25 U.S.C. subsection 5123. And under Article 3 of the Constitution, the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council is the governing body of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And whereas Wakpamni District is recognized in the Oglala Sioux Tribe Constitution as a self-governing district in accordance with Article 6 of the Tribal Constitution and operates in accordance with a district constitution. And whereas the Wakpamni District Executive Board did accept on September 25, 2017, Sandy Tulance, Wakpamni Lake Community within the Wakpamni District as Wakpamni District Executive Board Vice President for the remainder of the 2016-2018 Wakpamni District Executive Board terms. And therefore be it resolved that the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe hereby affirms Wakpamni District's affirmation of Sandy Tulance installation as the Wakpamni District Executive Board Vice President. So I move.
Motion by Jackie Sears, seconded by Sonia Weston. Call for the vote, please.
Blaine Little Thunder.
yes.
Jim Meeks. Stanley Little White Man.
Yes.
Austin Watkins. Chancey Wilson.
Yes.
Stephanie Leisure.
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian.
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller.
Yes.
James Cross.
Yes.
Ella Giancarlo.
Yes.
Richard Greenwell.
Yes.
Robin Tapio.
Huh.
Philip Goodcrow.
Out.
David Puyer. Sonia Little Hawk Weston. Jackie Sears. Colin C.J. Clifford. Lisa Jumping Eagle DeLeon. Craig Dillon.
Yes.
Motion carried, 18 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain, and 1 not voting. Wakbami District, are you finished? Wakbami District, you're finished.
Thank you, Council.
Wounded Knee gonna move tomorrow. Stanley Little White Man. No man, Dave. One more.
Thank you, Chairman. Reason why we needed to push this up is because we have a deadline. We did get an extension to get this amended. Because of the length of this ordinance, I'm going to have the secretary read it. It's the ordinance of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council amending ordinance number 1113, the Oglala Sioux Tribe Sex Offender Registration Code. What's that?
I'll read it. It's it's in your packet. It says agenda items for September 26, 2017, OST Law and Order. It's not 2/3 and it's not unfinished. And it's the first item, and the Oglala Sioux Tribe is recognized by the Department of Justice as an entity that is capable of registering sex offenders. But certain amendments are necessary to ensure compliance with SORNA and to ensure the tribe's ability to continue to have authority to register sex offenders. And the deadline for enacting these amendments is Friday. Ordinance of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council amending ordinance number 11-13, the Oglala Sioux Tribe Sex Offender Registration Code. Whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe has adopted its constitution and bylaws by referendum vote on December 14, 1935 in accordance with section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934. 25 USC section 5123. Formerly 476, and under Article 3 of the Oglala Sioux Tribe Constitution, the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council is the governing body of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And whereas under Article 4, Section 1K of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Constitution, the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council is vested with the authority to promulgate and enforce ordinances governing the conduct of persons on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. And whereas under Article 4, Section 1W of the Tribal Constitution, the Tribal Council is vested with the authority to adopt laws protecting and promoting the health and general welfare of the tribe and its members. And whereas on June 14, 2017, the Law and Order Committee of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council approved a motion to amend ordinance number 11-13, the Oglala Sioux Tribe Sex Offender Registration Code. And whereas on September 13, 2017, the Law and Order Committee of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council approved a motion to forward the following amendments to ordinance number 11-13, the Oglala Sioux Tribe Sex Offender Registration Code, to the Tribal Council for adoption on or before September 30, 2017. And whereas the amendments set forth herein are necessary to reflect certain amendments to tribal law, including the enactment of tribal laws prohibiting sex trafficking, and whereas the amendments set forth herein are also necessary to ensure full compliance with and to substantially implement Title I of the Adam Walsh Act, the Sex Offender Registration and Notification Act, SORNA, codified at 42 USC section 16927 et sec. And whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council approves the amendments proposed by the Law and Order Committee and hereby enacts the same into law, now therefore be it ordained that the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council hereby amends ordinance number 11-13, the Oglala Sioux Tribe Sex Offender Registration Code, as set forth herein, and be it further ordained that Section 2.01A of Ordinance Number 11-13 is amended to read in its entirety as follows. A, reserved. Footnote. The definition of clean record is deleted from this code because the Oglala Sioux Tribe does not permit the reduction of any period of registration. Be it further ordained that Section 2.01N of Ordinance Number 11-13 is amended to replace the words except as limited by subparagraph 6 or 7, the term sex offense means the following, with the following. The term sex offense means the following. And be it further ordained that Section 2.02A of Ordinance Number 11-13 is amended to read in its entirety as follows. A, tribal offenses. 1, rape in the first degree, Section 231 of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Criminal Offense Code. 2, rape in the second degree, Section 232 of the Oglala Sioux Tribe Criminal Offense Code. 3, deviant sexual intercourse, Section 233 of the Oglala Sioux Tribe Criminal Offense Code. 4, sexual assault, Section 234 of the Oglala Sioux Tribe Criminal Offense Code. And sex trafficking of children and sex trafficking of all persons by force, fraud, or coercion, Section 708 of the Oglala Sioux Tribe Criminal Offense Code. And be it further ordained that Section 3.01 of Ordinance Number 11-13 is amended to include a new subsection D, which shall read in its entirety as follows. D, submission of information to National Sex Offender Registry, NSOR. The Oglala Sioux Tribe Department of Public Safety shall submit all sex offender registration information and all updates to that information to the National Sex Offender Registry, NSOR, of the National Crime Information Center, NCIC, maintained by the Federal Bureau of Investigations pursuant to 42 U.S.C. Section 16919 through the use of 1, an NCIC terminal maintained by the Oglala Sioux Tribe Department of Public Safety, or 2, a contract or memorandum of understanding with another government or agency with an NCIC terminal, including but not limited to the state of South Dakota, to submit sex offender registration information and updates to that information to the NCIC on behalf of the Oglala Sioux Tribe Department of Public Safety. Be it further ordained that Section 3.04 of Ordinance Number 11-13 is amended to read in its entirety as follows. Section 3.04, DNA sample. A, determination of need to collect DNA sample. The Oglala Sioux Tribe Department of Public Safety shall determine whether a sex offender's DNA sample is already contained in the Combined DNA Index System, CODIS. If it is, the Oglala Sioux Tribe Department of Public Safety may elect not to collect a DNA sample from the sex offender. B, collection and submission of DNA sample to Combined DNA Index System, CODIS. If a sex offender's DNA sample is not already contained in CODIS, the Oglala Sioux Tribe Department of Public Safety shall cause a DNA sample to be collected from the sex offender and submitted to CODIS through the use of 1, buccal collection kits provided free of charge with free postage by the FBI, or 2, a contract or memorandum of understanding with another government or agency, including but not limited to the state of South Dakota, to collect and submit DNA samples to CODIS on behalf of the Oglala Sioux Tribe Department of Public Safety. Be it further ordained that Section 3.07 of Ordinance Number 11-13 is amended to add a new subsection B, which shall read in its entirety as follows. B, submission of fingerprints and palm prints to FBI Next Generation Database. The Oglala Sioux Tribe Department of Public Safety shall submit fingerprints and palm prints to the FBI Next Generation Database through the use of 1, mailing kits provided free of charge with free postage by the FBI, or 2, a live scan terminal maintained by the Oglala Sioux Tribe Department of Public Safety, or 3, a contract or memorandum of understanding with another government or agency with a live scan terminal, including but not limited to the state of South Dakota, to submit fingerprints and palm prints to the FBI Next Generation Database on behalf of the Oglala Sioux Tribe Department of Public Safety. Be it further ordained that Section 3.18 of Ordinance Number 11-13 is amended to read in its entirety as follows. 3.18, travel abroad. Registered sex offenders shall inform the Oglala Sioux Tribe Department of Public Safety of intended travel outside of the United States at least 21 days in advance of such travel. A, registered sex offenders shall appear in person at the Oglala Sioux Tribe Department of Public Safety at least 21 days in advance of their intended travel and provide any and all information required by 42 U.S.C. Section 16914A7 and any other information necessary to complete the international travel form utilized by the United States Marshals Service. B, the requirement in subsection A shall be included in an acknowledgement form signed by the sex offender at the time of his or her initial registration with the Oglala Sioux Tribe Department of Public Safety pursuant to sections 4.01 and 4.02, and at the time the sex offender appears in person to update his or her information pursuant to section 4.04. C, upon receipt of a completed international travel form from a registered sex offender, the Oglala Sioux Tribe Department of Public Safety shall, 1, submit the completed international travel form to the United States Marshals Service via the SORNA Exchange portal within 24 hours of the time the form is completed by the registered sex offender. And 2, notify any other jurisdiction where the sex offender is registered or is required to register of the information contained in the international travel form. And 3, provide the information contained in the international travel form to the National Sex Offender Registry, NSOR, of the National Crime Information Center, NCIC, maintained by the FBI pursuant to 42 U.S.C. Section 16919. Be it further ordained that Section 4.02A2 of Ordinance Number 11-13 is amended to replace the words 14 business days with the following 3 calendar days. And be it further ordained that Section 4.05 of Ordinance Number 11-13 is amended to replace the words including those outlined in Section 5.05B with the following, including those outlined in Chapter 6. And be it further ordained that the foregoing amendments to Ordinance Number 11-13, the Oglala Sioux Tribe Sex Offender Registration Code, shall take effect immediately, and Ordinance Number 11-13, as amended by this ordinance, shall be the Sex Offender Registration Code of the Oglala Sioux Tribe.
Motion.
Motion by Stanley Little White Man, seconded by Collins Clifford. Call for the vote, please.
Blaine Little Thunder.
Oh.
Jim Meeks.
Yes.
Stanley Little White Man.
Yes.
Austin Watkins. Chancey Wilson.
Yes.
Stephanie Leisure.
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian.
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller.
Yes.
James Cross.
Yes.
Ella Giancarlo.
Yes.
Richard Greenwald.
Yes.
Robin Tapio.
Huh.
Philip Goodcrow.
Oh.
David Puyer. Sonia Little Hawk Weston.
Huh.
Jackie Sears.
Huh.
Colin C.J. Clifford.
Oh.
Lisa Jumpin' Eagle DeLeon. Craig Dillon.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Motion carried unanimous, 19 yes, 0 no. I believe we are going to quit for the day. We will start in tomorrow with the Oglala. You have yours. Wounded Knee, you'll have yours, and then we'll go right into the committees. Council, we had a long day, but I believe we are moving forward for the betterment of our tribe, and I would just want to say thank you. So at this time, I'm just going to call for a recess at 5:10, And I would ask Blaine Little Thunder to give us a closing prayer.
I thought he was gonna go gung-ho. I thought he was gonna pull a marine.
Oja kasla, teot hanka ja käytiin petuestu ja vielä vupilalu. Ja community johlatse ja opgena oablazina ja tää mongola kon justamenat kon kasla eta ja tiata ken ojati tantu tyylinä. Uikstano ja vuoke jahte hetsi kon kasla ja iwatsin khan lo petuki ja käytiin ja tää tuono hinnosik mon khan ja tuono ka kizon tiata tuktekte. Kusiach päivänä ollut kusitsivik tahpäivänä ja vuoki vatsinche jonka vichozani ja on apteena työtskön japon khan vichokuje ja kaikhvano ei nanoi kusapon khaina ja oasakan vichozani vatsinche on ja tono silloin joksichapi cheampe seti stamchaki pakintin beichai ja apilia manti vatsinche on ja leumunitse ja ona täytyy kiinni kakton khaan ja tiata kun golapte no kavan kam shanku sopa kun on muina khankomai no kasla ja tita kuita ja tiata zania on kion to watchinche ja keun petuaste ja kapo johrache watchinche popular khankai oh takuas
See everybody tomorrow morning.